Hello and good evening, and welcome to the RantCast Podcast. Tonight we're doing a live session. We're a little late due to a lot of technical difficulties, but we'll get into that more later. So once again, I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. For anybody new watching the VOD, I am Josh, also known as The Strange Bus. You could catch me at twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. That's twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. My other host here, Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest Fans, and you can find him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. That's twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. Also on YouTube, that's XSC3, home of HeroQuest Fans.
Thank you.
What's going on, Ribby?
Ribby!
Welcome, Dano. How you doing?
You don't know the rage and the anger we've been going through. NVIDIA, could you be any more frustrating?
Well, I'd like to take it as partially my fault.
Really?
I did a system restore recently, and I don't think anything came back after that. So, nothing came up correctly. I had issues with NVIDIA Broadcast. Streamlabs didn't work. It just ended up we had to reinstall pretty much everything. And yeah,
I think
just the day that we decided to do a live on-site session. So
I think Kathleen Kennedy might have hired some hackers to disrupt the signal. And a communications disruption could mean only one thing:
invasion.
You must come back to me.
If we do have any issues with sound, please let us know. As we're trying to get everything set up to where we'd have some split audio. At least you could hear him with one mic and me with one mic. We had that going because we don't have a mixer at the moment. But with everything going on, we just wanted to get up and live. So
here we are.
Indeed.
Hey, Ribby. Solar flares, yeah.
I like that Strange Bus has Jarek behind him. Yes.
Jacer.
Jacer, how you doing?
Welcome, Dano.
But yeah, I hope everybody's having a great night. I hope you're taking good care of yourselves and each other. And we've got a pretty decent show with, everything included with all the issues that we've currently had.
Yeah.
I was pretty irked. Kurgan had to deal with my emotions.
Yes.
So
it's like, go.
And literally, he got here at 7 o'clock, so I had him get here early so that we could prep, get everything set up, review topics, and
I got to see the new home base.
Yeah.
I like what you've done.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger when you're actually here.
It's bigger on the inside.
That's right.
So yes, we got the HeroQuest Power Hour, which we will continue. We'll start. Even though we are late, we'll go ahead and continue from there. We've got some topics involving the Acolyte and its not continuation. Then we've got some details involving some news from Kathleen Kennedy the week prior, I believe.
Jason just got here, so hey, it's perfect timing.
Yeah, sit, relax, man.
Yeah.
And then after that, I had some just some topics involving Star Wars, because usually I like to talk about Star Wars, but it kind of gets a little bit random. So I wanted to bring up some relevant news.
Bohemius' comment.
Why the sadness? No, the sadness is because it took me over an hour just to get started tonight.
I know the pain and suffering that goes on when you're ready to stream, but your system is not cooperating. But this guy, he's got like layer upon layer, device upon device. He's got all these moving parts, and I'm like, dang, I thought I had a hard time. So it's like, wow.
I really don't have that much. I just use broadcast a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, you're used to your setup. I'm used to mine. And yeah.
I'm just not that. When it comes to my computer, I'm not a simple man.
A simple man trying to make your way in the universe.
Indeed. Like my camera right now, it's got a lot of it's got a lot of noise right now, and that's just because I don't have the enhanced drivers for my Razer camera, and I just don't want that extra crap. So I used broadcast to kind of clean it up, and it just was not working.
So have you guys seen the Acolyte? Because I haven't seen it. I mean, this is your hardcore Star Wars man here. And even he.
I encouraged people last time to do that.
Just a rip and tear. The power of one season.
Ribby, we can get into it after the HeroQuest Power Hour, or
man, we couldn't think of a title, and it's like these guys have got titles.
But just to finalize what we're doing, I will be talking about Star Wars today and Star Wars back then, involving kind of how we still had issues with Star Wars before Disney, and how I've kind of felt like there was a lot more tolerance. Some people have settled for less, but before we get into that, we'll kind of start with HeroQuest. So like I said, stick around, grab some food, grab some drink. If you want to be involved in the RantCast podcast tonight, we are accepting callers. We'll try our best to get everybody involved, because right now we are utilizing just my headphones.
Yeah.
So please go ahead and let us know prior to the topic, or prior to at least halfway before the show, that we can get everybody set up. Just let us know in the Discord. You can let me know via the bus of Discord if you're in there, or you can hit up the HeroQuest fans Discord. However, right now I'm in there, but I may not receive the notification right away. So
that's what I should have done.
Or you can send me a DM if your friends listening. Either way works.
Slide into those DMs. Not like that.
So
Ribby just said his Space Crusade unboxing is up. Nice, man. I'll look forward to watching that.
All right.
If we're short on time, we can always. No, just kidding. All right, are we ready? Dive in? Okay.
Dive in.
So when I was at Gen Con, I brought with me, I had printed out boards. So I basically was trying to recreate Space Crusade using like modern parts and things that I printed. So I had 4 like brand new boards, and I had 40K miniatures that I'd painted, and cards that I'd printed out, and we were just having a blast. But Ribby is trying to do the same thing, but then he scored a vintage copy of Space Crusade. So this is the 1990 Milton Bradley game, except there was a couple pieces missing, and we know that he has a 3D printer, and so he's going to 3D print those. So I'm really excited to see what they look like. So the original game came in with these little scanners. It's supposed to hold like your tiles and everything for your team, for your points and everything. But those weren't there. But he's just gonna create those with plastic. The Marine boards are missing. Bummer. Figured out. Oh, but you've got some. I saw the ones you printed out. Those look great. So I send the stuff to Board Games Maker, but he actually like prints it out on some type of like linen cardstock, and he like brushes it over with some matte finish. Oh yeah. Okay, scanner boards. Yeah. So as far as HeroQuest goes, I feel like we're in a good place right now. We're in kind of a stable place until First Light actually comes out. So we've heard different things. We've heard January, February for a release of First Light. I mean, we know that there's a few things. At Gen Con, they weren't done with the box or the dice. And Doug was very insistent that nobody, give out any secrets. We don't want those secrets to get leaked. He was very insistent on that. Nobody say anything. So, of course, nobody said anything. So, shifting over from the world of official HeroQuest, there is the ongoing drama of TseuQuesT, or TseuQuesT, or however you want to say it. So I don't know. Can we pull up a page? It's TEU.
Are you sure it's not?
Oh yeah, it's Quest spelled backwards. It's Quest.
Okay.
There.
The site pulled up.
Yeah, let's go to it. So whenever I bring this up on the Discord, rightfully so, So this is the game that was going to be the 25th anniversary of HeroQuest. We've talked about this before on the RantCast. And people were waiting since 2013 for this. And GameZone Miniatures, they actually had the legal right to a portion of the HeroQuest IP in Spain. And Hasbro bought that out from them and then allowed them to just change the name and keep it going. But whenever I bring this up, this brings up a lot of anger, rightfully so, like I said, for people who've been waiting and not getting the product that they paid for with the pre-orders and the crowdfunding. So whenever I talk about it, I forget about the layers of drama. So there was the whole drama of they were on one Kickstarter, they got kicked off of it, and they went to another one, and they got kicked off of that one, and it bounced around. And now finally, they've changed the name so that they're allowed to move forward. So just like SundayQuest changed the name of their product and they could release it. So it's a HeroQuest inspired game, but it's not an official HeroQuest game. But what I keep getting reminded of is that there were people who helped GameZone Miniatures create this who have not been paid. So apparently there's employees that are pissed off as well, not just buyers. And so some of the lawsuits, I'm not a legal expert, I don't have all the details on this, but some of the lawsuits have to do with, like, I guess, back wages or broken promises. And so what a lot of people are theorizing is that this guy is like fulfilling orders and selling. I always say this guy, the head of GameZone Miniatures. I don't know his name. But whenever he sells a copy, they're saying, oh, he's just doing that to pay his legal fees. He's not really going to follow through. Like, nobody believes that he's going to keep continuing to sell this product. It's just going to break even. Now, he had this warehouse full of stuff since 2016, I think, to sell. Now, there was a recent video that someone posted on our Discord where there was a guy in Australia, and he had been hired. Actually, he was a volunteer to proofread the English version of TseuQuesT, however you want to say it. So it's still not done yet. Now, the Spanish version is being sold. It's actually appearing in stores, like next to the real HeroQuest. And yeah, they sell miniatures, so you could always buy their miniatures. So there's some people who are on principle not supporting this because they're like, it's too much. You know, I waited too long. I've seen too much of, you know, how you treated the people that helped you make this, so it's just not worth it. So I don't know what kind of numbers we're talking about here. I never backed it. By the time I knew about this TseuQuesT, Hasbro was already moving forward with their new Kickstarter, their crowdfunding for the Avalon Hill HeroQuest. And it ended up that we got, you know, basically a remake of the game. It was the same rule mechanics and everything. Whereas TseuQuesT was going to be, like, I imagined TseuQuesT was going to be the actual remake. Like, they were going to take and make a modern role-play light dungeon crawler game that was inspired by HeroQuest. Like, so I was actually glad that we got something that was just more just like the same old game with just a new coat of paint. So we got a comment here. Bookham Dano says, so yeah, thought you said TseuQuesT has some legal issues. Well, people have made that joke before. But I just want to make clear that the source of the lawsuits has nothing to do with the IP. Like, them changing the name is just a thing that they do. It's the same reason why you have Warhammer Quest instead of HeroQuest from Games Workshop. Because originally it was Games Workshop and Milton Bradley, aka Hasbro, working together. It was a collaborative project. So now if any other company makes a HeroQuest type game, they just have to call it something else. They can't use the HeroQuest name.
I mean, TseuQuesT does kind of fit the bill, though, huh?
Yeah. They could have called it anything, but I mean, it looks good. I've seen the videos. I mean, it's definitely like a hardcore game because, I mean, you got to assemble the miniatures. They're made of resin with like metal inside them, and the furniture is really, really plain, so you got to paint it. So it's definitely a hobbyist gamer game.
The big thing behind this, and remind me is the fact that some people thought this was a scam because it's not actually coming out, right?
Yeah, they're saying nobody's actually getting it. It's just a scam.
And they're kind of charging an arm and a leg for this, right?
Well, it's not a cheap game.
Okay.
The thing is, though, people are actually getting it. It's just that right now it's only people in Spain and a few people that are like volunteers or reviewers, like influencers. So people who are skeptical of the whole thing or critical of the whole thing are saying, well, he just giving it out to like, salvage the image of the project.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the legal issues don't have to do with the IP. It's with not fulfilling promises to customers or not fulfilling promises to employees, former employees. Because you got to think, I mean, people had to design the miniatures, people had to do the artwork, people had to write the quests. I mean, it looks pretty extensive. I mean, it's like a spiral bound quest book. They got all these cards and everything, and those have to be translated. So they're still proofreading the stuff. And the Australian guy was saying, yeah, there was a lot of errors that he had to correct. And I mean, I don't think GameZone is anywhere near as big as some of these other companies. So they're not as big as Games Workshop. They're certainly not as big as Hasbro. But,
kind of like an internal company. Kind of small.
Like an indie developer.
Where do they hail from?
I'm thinking somewhere in Spain, but that's just a guess.
Okay, because I was looking at the distributors right here.
Yeah, got some German, some French, Italian.
They don't really have like an about.
Yeah, their website is kind of antiquated.
Hold on. About us.
Oh, there we go.
Small
2002.
Since 2002, we're dedicated to make miniatures on our own project.
Seville.
Yeah, from Spain. Okay.
We aren't Germans. Just so happens that our distributor from Germany works extremely well.
If you want to contact him,
yeah,
so you can get a hold of him in case you have any questions or concerns.
Yeah. I mean, I just put it out there. If they get their act together and they get all this stuff resolved, I'd have no problem buying a copy. Now,
so how much is this game US?
I want to say it's like $150.
Okay, yeah, because it was...
You translate it from euro. Well, it depends on the rate of exchange.
$148.53?
Yeah, pretty close. But I mean, that's the base game. Like, if you got all the extras, it would cost you a lot more.
Extras? Like all this stuff?
Yeah.
Or is this the stuff that comes with the game, you're just buying separately?
I'm a little unclear on some of it because I think the early backers got more stuff. Kind of like the Mythic tier with the Hasbro HeroQuest.
Is this... So if you buy this, you can...
Subcontractors, manufacturers.
This is all what you get, right?
Yeah.
And then you can buy this stuff, which is extra, just in case you like want to expand your...
Okay. Well, they sell miniatures, so yeah, you could buy all this stuff. Very similar to how Games Workshop does it. You could buy a box of stuff, but you can buy from their catalog to expand it, infinitely.
Well, that's kind of neat. So, like, really,
the style's the same. Yeah,
it might be a little pricier, but like, really, at the end of the day, kind of if it's actually what they're doing, like, it might be kind of a more, I don't know, freer model than what's going on with HeroQuest right now.
Yeah, because yeah, with Hasbro HeroQuest, you got to wait for Avalon Hill to come out with a new thing,
or make your own models,
or just make your own.
Like these.
I mean, I don't mind if the style is different. So I use Reaper models. I use classic HeroQuest with modern.
And I can understand why these are mildly expensive. Not everybody's gonna want everything all at once. So like, what they're doing is they're making a lot of stuff available for people, but with how it's crafted or made. If people are going to want it, I mean, it's not like they're, selling this stuff hand over fist. So
no,
it's going to cost money to make, of course.
Yeah.
They might make it via, I don't know if it's going to be made to order though. That's the thing is like, if it's made to order, that could be why it's so expensive. But
yeah, because right now I think they're just trying to get rid of that stock that they had. I mean, there's early videos of all these
We're talking about like the single stuff.
The stuff from the back catalog.
Yeah, but as far as like the box itself, like this is a lot. This is like if you're wanting to expand your, because I don't know, you probably mix this with HeroQuest, but like it's one of those things like if you just wanted more, or if you're somebody who, I guess I wouldn't mind buying a box like this if I had the ducats for it, but
well, I mean, if you look at something like OrcQuest was even more than this, but OrcQuest was plastic and cardboard. This is like supposedly high quality resin with metal, so it's more like old school Warhammer.
So
from what
the question is though, what benefit do you get out of that? Is it just lasting longer while you play it?
Yeah.
Or is it better for like when kids play with it? Because like
probably
usually,
worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is like when I'm thinking that, I think like nobody's like the people that I'm seeing is gonna want to buy this are either gonna want to keep it in good condition, or you're making it out of that material so it's I guess durable, right?
Yeah, I think
I'd buy that for $1.
So I mean, way back in the day, these war games would make their miniatures out of lead, right? Because it was cheap. And they didn't care about they didn't know about the toxicity of it. And they thought, well, grown-ups are going to be playing with this anyway. Well, this would be more of the kind of set where it's like you're going to paint it, you're going to make it look really, really awesome. I don't know, would you take this to a convention and a big bottle of glue to fix it because the pieces fall apart on the way? So it's like a museum quality.
So with regular HeroQuest, with like the just the regular game system itself, not the new one that's coming out, it's what, like 120?
135.
135.
You could probably get it for like a lot less.
Not if you're thrifting. We're not looking like if you're like thrift shopping or looking around trying to look for a discount. So MSRP is about 135. And I can't remember off the top of my head what you're getting with everything, but I do. I mean, I have it up on my shelf right now, but
yeah.
With this for about what 148 USD. You're getting
move it back to the picture, quick here.
We
got the text list.
Yeah, so you'll get the Board Alpha model, Screen Mentor model.
It's very, very similar
about the same stuff you're gonna get with the the HeroQuest.
Because again, originally it was HeroQuest, but they had to change it, so they had double the heroes.
Yeah, because you don't get that many with
no, you have
46 plastic resin miniatures. And what are the HeroQuest models made out of?
Just like
just standard plastic
polymers. It's bendy. It's like bendy plastic. It's not rubber, but I mean it's like Reaper.
48 scenery elements, plastic resin.
See, it's very, very similar.
And then 39 markers. So you're getting a lot more. And I don't know, the plastic resin might be a little bit more like, maybe more handy or more durable.
See, I don't have a lot of experience with those. The only resin that I have are like 3D printed resin, and those tend to be very fragile. But
the resin tends to get brittle, according to Dano here. Mythic plastic is a bit softer than I would like, but the newer released stuff is firm. Handle a bit of bending that can happen from transport.
Yeah.
So is what you're saying there, would the plastic resin be better than what you have or worse? I don't like the models, says Bohemius.
Yeah.
So you don't like any of the models that they make?
Here is my thought, okay?
These look kind of dope.
Yeah. So here's my thought. So there is kind of a hierarchy in the miniature collecting community that metal is the absolute best you can get. And I guess that's because the detail is just so sharp and it's got weight to it, but it's not necessarily more durable. Like especially stuff like arms and legs and swords, the metal gets bent because the metal is kind of soft. It's not lead anymore. It's like white metal. So then below that is resin, which is what this stuff is. So it might be a little more durable, but I mean, like that sword has probably got a metal rod through it, is what it is. So, or maybe the sword might be completely
metal. Is this a
metal.
3D model? It looks like it might be a 3D model.
Yeah, I think that's just a mock-up. But I mean, I've seen the actual models. They come unassembled, and it's just like just imagine like 100 little baggies that are all labeled.
I don't know, Bohemius. I might disagree with you. These models look kind of cool.
Yeah.
And do they not come with like little bases? They're just on their own?
They do have bases. They're transparent plastic bases. So, but the idea is, I mean, the characters are still, it's very similar to HeroQuest. The heroes are red, the undead are like off-white, the orcs and stuff are green. You've got gray figures, not Chaos Warriors. I think they're called Warriors of Chaotic Evil or something. It's a very similar name. But then the furniture is just white. So it's not even brown. So the furniture is just begging to be painted. But I mean, everything is
asking
3D. Yeah.
To be painted. Ooh,
yeah.
Look at that.
That looks cool. Yeah.
Look at all that detail. Like I said, so are these still? Is this still be considered possibly fake then? Because has anybody actually seen the product?
Yeah, they have seen it. So when I say scam or I say fake or whatever, we're talking about
like they're promising you something like this, and you're probably not going to get something this detailed.
No, it's not that. I think at this stage, it's a case of bad company syndrome. Like we've all heard about companies where they promise something, they deliver it, but they did shady stuff in the background. You know, like what was that Mafia game that you played where it was just like, you know, the guys like yelling at the workers in the office, the crunch to create it.
Okay, you gotta be a little more detailed than that. There's
a
lot.
There's VR game, L.A. Noire.
Oh, okay. You mean when I was talking? Okay, that's like Team Bondi or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that's what comes to mind. Like, there's people that don't want to.
That guy.
There's people that don't want to support the product because what they've heard about how it was created, thinking like, oh man, this leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Do I really want to support a company that, you know, treats its workers like that?
So prior to knowing about that, I've played L.A. Noire so many times, and that's great game. Horrible fucking guy who led that team, but the people who worked under him were great people. So
could you support something like this, saying like, well,
that's a hard question, bud. Yeah, like it's different. Like I said, the game I'm about to play next week is run by a company that lots of people have shady practices on, that aims for mediocrity, and that'd be a more easier answer. Like I would want to buy games from them mostly because Ubisoft, EA, stuff like that, they're a company wide known for having they have some good people in there, but they're company wide known for doing crappy shit.
Yeah.
Like I think it's Team Bondi is what they were called. But it was their leader, their top guy, who was just an asshole. And I tend not to remember these things for a reason. Yeah. Because then I get all but
it's like I understand, like, living in the world, it's not going to be perfect. You know, every product you consume is somewhere along the line connected with somebody who did something bad or shady or
you're always gonna have stuff like that though.
So but at a certain point, does it cross a line for you and you decide, you know what? I'm going to take the money I would have given to TseuQuesT and I'm going to give it to Hasbro. Or no, wait, maybe I don't like Hasbro, so I'm going to give it to Monolith. You know, or I'm going to give it to whatever company instead. Those are the choices you make yourself. So I'm not judging anybody who decides, okay, I'm going to buy this or I'm going to refuse to buy it based on the principle of what I know.
So does GameZone have a history of being like crappy?
That's a good question. I don't really know. Maybe people in the chat know. Because I think before this, I'd never even heard of GameZone.
Take a look.
GameZone scandals in the past.
GameZone miniatures. Because
I mean, certainly Hasbro doesn't have a perfectly clean record. We know that. But Avalon Hill within Hasbro, you could say, well, those seem to be pretty good guys. They're doing their best. They're passionate. So are they really to blame for what their parent company has done?
I mean, not seeing anything too crazy.
But see, this makes me think that maybe they did have a good record or no record before this, and it was this project that soured it for a lot of people. And it's like, are the complaints going to be forgotten in the wake of, oh, it's really coming out, it's really real, and it's actually not too bad. It's too bad it had to be like this.
So I don't see anything crazy unless somebody's got a link.
Yeah.
They
Are
want
there
to
any
get me,
past
but
scandals with GameZone that we should know about?
because everything I'm seeing is like from 4 years ago, or
Yeah.
like 2 to 4 years ago, and it's just like people who have ordered stuff from them and not received anything, but then they got it shortly
Well,
afterwards.
it's like the video I did. I was talking about Talon Games. Like I shredded that company, but then the guy gave me a refund, and I'm like, well, at least he gave me a refund. Thank you.
They look awesome. Took about 8 weeks to get that. Yeah, they just took a long time to receive. So like people thought they were never getting them back, but it just took a long time because
So
the crafting of the miniatures took a long time.
They're a little slower. Yeah, because it's not just mass-produced plastic out of China, which
excellent sculpts that can at times be challenging to build. So they just take
Oh yeah, I've seen pictures of the I almost said the HeroQuest. The TseuQuesT pieces, it just looks like a pile of rubble. It's like, what even is this? But then when you see it assembled, you were looking at the barbarian. It's like, oh yeah, he looks awesome.
So yeah, it's
a craft. It's a hobby.
According
you
to
build
this,
the stuff. You paint the stuff.
according to this, they're from what I'm seeing, and this is mostly just forums, right? This has been going for quite a long time, like 5 years now almost. The TseuQuesT thing.
2014.
Oh, so longer than that. Yeah,
That's-
but like but they're mostly known as a model company. They make models.
Well, it's like sorry, I had to check something there. It's like so Stephen Baker, again from HeroQuest, he is working with Dwarven Forge to do Where Heroes Dare. And Dwarven Forge is a miniatures company that does resin stuff, and they have a pretty good reputation. Of course, the stuff is really, really expensive. So this kind of thing happens. And I get it because, like, when it comes to indie projects, like dream projects like these sorts of things, people really get invested emotionally in it. It's like, I want to help this guy make his dream come true because this is such a cool product. And so you get invested in it. And it's like, if you find out something about the company or about the creators that pisses you off, you're like, oh man, they betrayed me. You betrayed me. So I get that whole part of it. And so I don't know. It's like when I bring it up, it's like, well, I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to buy this. I don't have to. I already have the better product already. I have Avalon Hill's HeroQuest. But I'm kind of interested in it too.
Yeah, the last time
A moral conundrum. Yeah, who is the guy that...
Yeah, well, that's what I'm reading. So,
yeah.
like, from what I could tell here, it just looks like this was like four, almost 5 years ago. So
2020.
A lot of people were just saying that, like, because it's the stuff with the TseuQuesT thing going on now,
Mismanagement.
But
I mean, it was poor timing. They wanted to bring this out
but I'm not
about
even
the same
looking.
time that Hasbro was.
But I'm not even looking at that. It's just like people just complain about the fact that it just takes a long time for them to get anything back from them. But like, or that like they might be hard to contact, and that's just I think that's just a thing with like small
service.
Yeah, that's just a thing with small companies.
Small company, yeah, they can't afford to hire enough people to communicate.
Yeah, as far as TseuQuesT, I haven't seen anything for like. Yeah, as far as like a scandal, unless that was the thing that was happening during the beginning of that, and that's what it's known as because it hasn't been released yet.
So from 2016 was when you had they were showing videos of like the factory floor, and they were showing production of the pieces and everything. Like, oh, it's really happening. Yes, this is great. So 2020 to 2021 was when Hasbro was like, oh, we need the IP back from everyone who had a piece of it. So they got it from Games Workshop. They got it from GameZone. I don't know if they got it from Estrella, but it's like all these little pieces of the HeroQuest IP were out there, and they acquired everything back. So everybody else has to change their name. So that probably caused a hiccup.
What don't you like? What don't you like about them, Bohemius? Just to like kind of like poke your brain a little bit. Because, like, all I've seen
miniatures. Yeah, I'm not familiar with those.
But all I've seen so far is their 3D renders. I've yet to see an actual like miniature.
Oh, there's videos on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, critics will say, "Oh, they just gave copies to influencers to make themselves look good." and they really aren't going to be able to distribute it to the whole world like
Well,
they
that
claim.
can be a thing. Like that happened with Fallout 76 with that canvas bag. Those were given to all the high influencers, and then everybody else got a crappy like polyester bag.
Well,
happens a lot, man. That's very typical.
HeroQuest, we had the Dreadveil dice. Those were supposed to go into full retail production, and people are still trying to get them. Now they did restock the Monk. Remember the Monk? People were like wondering what was going to happen with that, and they renewed it for another print run, so people can get it. But yeah, it's like if you're mad at the company, you're not going to support them, and if you don't support them, they can't fulfill their promises. And if they don't fulfill their promises, then you hate them. It's like it feeds back into it. So it's like, do you support them so that they can fulfill their promises?
Yeah, because I don't know what a Cromlech miniature is. Hold on.
Yeah.
You gotta bear with me, Bohemius. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, the whole world of miniatures and Kickstarters, like, I mean, I had to take a crash course on this stuff, and there's still a lot of things I don't know. Like, I just believe what other people tell me because I don't know any better. Cromlech. Oh, yeah, I can kind of see that.
So, oh, no.
They just look like little statues, really.
Oh, these are painted too. These are nice.
Yeah. But
see, I'm easy to please when it comes to stuff like this. I'm like, oh, look how dope this is.
When you think about it, I mean, Games Workshop does a similar thing. They give you a sprue of little tiny plastic pieces, and you're supposed
you
to
can customize
cut them out,
so that's cool.
Glue them together, and yeah, they always give you extra parts, so you can choose. Okay, do I want the laser gun, or do I want the machine gun? Do I want the sword, or do I want the axe?
So this looks a little different than like what you were getting with TseuQuesT. Like, yeah. I mean, if you were to,
I mean, you could say the style is somewhat similar.
Somewhat similar. I mean,
it's this
compared to the 3D rendering that I'm looking at now. Like, if we looked at
it's kind of funny because some of the influencers were calling this a retro game. They were calling TseuQuesT a retro game because it's taken so long to come out that this is like, you know, cutting edge fantasy tabletop of 2014, you know, and it's now 2024. So it's a blast from the past rather than something brand new. Which is kind of weird to think about.
Yeah, this like looks more like something you do with like Warhammer or something.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Warhammer. 40K. Yeah, those look like Eldar.
Yeah, like artillery and all sorts of shit.
Yeah. So you could buy something like this and just paint it however you want. But anyway, so Bohemius is saying it's very similar.
Look at the monsters. Too many details of the brittle material. They fall apart. Well, what material are these made out of? Resin? Is this resin?
See, the problem is there's so many different kinds of resin. Like when I think of resin, I think of like 3D printed
high quality resin.
Like glass. It's like potter. It's like ceramic almost. But there's other resins that are more solid. So you think of like those like trinkets that you get at the mall.
Well, like how hard?
Dragons.
How hard are you going to be on your pieces though?
Spike it on the ground.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I'm just asking questions, right? I'm not like trying to sound like a know-it-all at all, Bohemian. So, but this is the thing that I'm asking. For me, when I get on and I'm going to play this game, we'll probably do a live session one time in the back of this table. But how hard are we going to be on the pieces? And that's what I'm saying. It's like over time, yeah, they might like get rough. But like you saw my Star Wars miniatures. They sat in a bag in multiple types of transport.
They got a little moldy.
They got a little messy because the paint was super cheap. I just would repaint them. Yeah. And like the lightsabers are all like bent.
Yes,
But you straighten them out, and that, like I said, those were small and cheap, right? Because they, but like these things,
with these, I think in a lot of cases the weapon will just be metal. So if the sword bends, well, you carefully bend it back, but you can only bend it so many times before it snaps.
It just snaps, okay.
And then it's like, okay, then you glue it.
Well, isn't there a place to put these in your box? Oh no, you're just buying these. Okay, I get it. I just feel like if you're buying stuff like this, there's a place to store it. You're gonna have a place to store it. Like,
this is not a kid throwing it in his backpack and taking it to school. This is a grown up.
And that's me. That's totally me though. Like I'm like. I just
Yeah.
put them in a box. And
Well,
like,
that's what First Light, HeroQuest First Light is going to be. It's going to be Travel HeroQuest.
never seen my miniatures. I
throw
have
it
a
back in.
miniatures showcase on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's actually on Twitch too. I don't know if it's in my
Star Wars, Dungeons and Dragons.
hold on, I don't think it's in my. Let me check. I don't know if it's actually in my Twitch right now. Like my Twitch showcase. I might have taken it off my showcase. It's still on my Twitch, but I don't know if it's on my
Yellow is
showcase.
the only good color.
Bohemius is calling it
And
a
there
bad
is
version
like-
of Games Workshop. Well, you could call it a ripoff. You could call it a tribute.
What? There I am.
I think the more time goes by, the less and less I mind mixing styles together of stuff. Like I have xenomorphs from Another Glorious Day in the Core, aliens, mixed with Warhammer 40K from 2008, mixed with Warhammer 40K from like last year, mixed together with Reaper stuff, Cav strike operations. Because I did find some Cav strike operations which weren't crap. And the guy did refund. I mean, he said, just go ahead. You can keep the miniature. Here's your full refund. And he said, well, just sand the little peg down until it fits into the hole. Like, okay. Does that mean something? But I mean, I should just show it on camera.
Oh man, I forgot to re-upload some of
But
these.
it was a hexagonal hole and the peg was round. So it did not fit. I'm like, what? He's like, well, they designed it that way because it'll crack. And okay, here we go.
So
here's the clip.
Yeah, this is from like 2 years ago though.
Man,
Time flies. This was shortly after one of the HeroQuest
Look at that young gun.
simulcasts. And yeah,
you're all like shredded now.
not shredded.
I've had these
Rip.
for a very long time, and I just found my
With
die.
them pumped
So-
up.
Let me
All right, back to HeroQuest fans in my chat, and then when it says raid,
All right, our
just
guest
say
today
yes
is
or joining the
Strange
raid or
Bus.
whatever.
He's gonna
Yeah.
drink some
You're
water.
supposed to, I think, just stay there.
I
and
am.
you'll
There he
be
goes.
roasting
He's
it.
going for it, folks.
let me skip real quick.
Hydrate.
Raid.
I don't even know what I'm saying. Hold on.
There shouldn't be a prompt, I don't think.
See?
It just takes you over here.
No, I thought this was cool. I mean,
One
it's like
got you in the background, and then
treasure chest full of
got to turn
stuff.
You're talking too.
But
You're on
you
the
found your dice.
Yeah.
I see that the bag.
I'm always
there.
talking.
Is that dice there?
trying to get to
Fall
the
back
miniatures
because they
part.
like
Oh,
drop
there.
the
So here are my dice.
Yeah. There
Here,
we
I'll
go.
mute.
I was
I'm gonna mute the.
We're commenting
did.
on ourselves now. See?
Yeah.
It's all just a vortex of.
Yeah. So these
Yeah.
were the Star Wars miniatures that I showcased. This was like 2 years ago though.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're part of the. But I did the. I used to do simulcast back when I could.
Yeah,
with
that was
Kurgan, like before my like job and life took a huge
turn.
like busy turn. And then
Yeah, it seems like just yesterday. Man, time does
I
fly.
started the Frozen Horror.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. He's going for it.
So yeah, I had them all like in sections. Like I still do. But like
Oh, yeah.
like by Jedi, Empire, Sith figures.
See, the first thing I would have done, I would have sniffed it. I would have been like, oh, that funk. All those years. I know, you can't see it very well from here.
Oh yeah, here. I'll
Oh, yeah. Yep,
the
look at that
Qui-
saber.
the Qui-Gon Jinn
Yeah.
picture. But yeah, they held up. Those I've had those things since like 2006. And they've pretty much either been I've taken them out very rarely. Like
Wizards of the Coast, yep.
yeah, so
Yep. The Star Wars, this is D20, right? Wizards of the Coast, so it's based on Dungeons and Dragons, yep.
this was no well these were based off it was the miniatures game, the Star Wars miniatures game.
Yeah.
But you could
Because
tell
it was
that
West End Games was the D6 game, and then Wizards of the Coast got it, it was D20.
yeah, you could tell some of that paint is looking real rough.
Yeah. They don't look that bad. I mean, they look well worn for sure. Like if I walked into like some of these local game shops, they would have just like rows and racks of those miniatures.
But hold on, let me see if I can fast forward a little bit more.
Yeah. So when you're looking at these on camera, was this the first time you'd looked at them in a long time?
Those are my like old Republic figures.
Yeah. I mean, on the table.
Kind of. I played D&D with them at one point in time. I used them for D&D figures.
Yeah.
Well,
and I played a little bit of Star Wars D20, just like a couple of sessions, and there were figures like that.
Trying to see if I can get to the big ones, but like I just want to be showcasing everything. But yeah, you can go to my channel or my YouTube channel, and I have my miniature showcase.
Oh,
but
Jacer is saying something about TseuQuesT. He says, "I like the 3D stairs, secret doors, and fallen block tiles. The cage and the mirror look good. Maybe 4 or 5 of the 8 heroes. Not a fan of the mage or the weird dice." So, yeah, TseuQuesT has these dice. They're called barrel dice. So you can roll them, and I forget now if they're 10-sided or if they're 8-sided. But they've got a certain number of sides, but then it can also land on its edge because it's a barrel with like flat. So you get this really rare roll.
I don't remember where my.
But you've got quite a lot of those.
Oh yeah.
Do you have enough for an army, or is it more of a questing type game?
No, I have enough for like they were all used to. I used to keep them all in like
Squads.
Yeah, squads, because you usually place them like you have strategically. Each one had their own card with their own like set of abilities and stuff. So you have them.
Yeah, I had some Trandoshans. Bosk. I had a couple of those.
Trying to find out where my big figures are. Yeah, and these were all that one.
Whoa.
That one's the moldy one. Yeah,
It's like a mold trooper.
That was a Wookiee actually. That one just needed cleaned off because I had one that wasn't like that. That was just fine.
He and Han Solo are gonna take a shower. Sorry, too soon.
Yeah, I'm like wiping them off. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, some good dish soap. Soap those suckers.
Yeah, like
some
literally sat through, like some of those sat in a bag.
Get some simple
and
green.
We had like a flood, and they weren't flooded, but they were around like some moisture.
Yeah.
But they sat in that sealed bag in a safe for a long time. I had them in a gun safe ever.
My vintage Kenner Star Wars figures got moisture on them, and they were moldy, and I had to clean them.
Right there, like you could tell, just the base has mold all over.
The worst one was my Admiral Akbar. Like the paint was actually like
that guy covered in it.
Yeah,
like I said, like
you can clean those up and restore them.
Some of these were completely fine. Some of these were just old and like just messed up.
Yeah. Bohemia says, "Okay, but those were made of rubbery plastic. I've sent recently a photo in Discord. I know them. I love them. It is a different thing." Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. Yeah, so the rubbery plastic, I mean, people say, "Oh, that's cheap. That's, not as cool." But it's very durable. I mean, I've stepped on Reaper miniatures. I bent them and just bent them right back, or dip them in boiling water and then cold water, and they're fine. Metal miniatures look awesome, but yeah, you bend them too many times, they're broken. Then what do? You get, a pin that you put in there, and you put some, metal putty or some toxic glue.
You said you sent a photo to the Discord? I don't see, unless you sent it to the...
You might have sent it to HeroQuest fans. You like what I did there? Who wants a RantCast tonight? And you have the Rock going, "It doesn't matter what you think." And then, after all my bravado, we have all those technical issues.
Oh yeah, you have to tell me where it's at.
Bohemius, where'd you post it? Can you tell us?
But yeah, like I was saying before, I used those for D&D at one point in time. I used them for back when the miniatures game was popular.
Yeah.
I'd go to like Chase and like we would play the miniatures game, but
that's cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if I should just.
That was a very expensive. All those, like all together, they were
Big
a lot of money. Yeah. No, I don't think they're worth anything.
You should just have some fun. Play a game with your kids when they're old enough.
Yeah, my kids would eat those.
Not for eating. Stop it.
Stop it.
You need Kindergarten Cop.
It's not a tumor.
The entire movie runs through my head whenever I say Kindergarten Cop. It's like, okay. All right. Bohemia says, who remember we were talking about Imperial Assault? Check other games. Oh, yeah. So Bohemia
that's a game I want to get
recommends
into.
Imperial
Assault.
Assault.
Yeah.
That's the one that has like 14 expansions.
Yeah, but it's hella expensive right now, and like I can't.
I want to say
that's one thing. And my wife, like, so I'm like I said, I'm married with children, right? I don't know how many of y'all can raise your hand and say that. Like, probably a couple of you, a lot of you, but like, I already have a cigar hobby and a whiskey hobby and a very expensive computer hobby. Board games, I have to rely on this man with a very small budget. And I was like, one time I talked to my wife about maybe dropping some money on Imperial Assault.
Well, save your lungs,
was it,
save your liver. I mean, your sanity will still be.
What was it? The first thing I looked at for Imperial Assault, and it was crazy.
Ribby can identify with the. He was giving out coasters.
That back thing. That's all bourbons, whiskeys, gin, and wine.
Married for 20 plus years, 3 kids.
I'm at 8 years, and I have 4.
Nice.
But yeah, Imperial Assault. That's not the right one, I don't think.
I mean,
let me look up the board game.
Either your hobby is just kind of your side gig to relax, or it's something that you do with your family, or it's whatever.
Oh yeah, never mind. This is it. Okay.
Yep, Imperial Assault.
Yeah, it's 90. Okay, so starting at $94.
I wonder the ones at Gen Con. I never stopped to ask people, "Hey, what specific Star Wars game is?"
That's not too bad.
I know there's people playing the X-wing game, which I hear recently was ended.
Oh, it just ended?
I think so. The X-wing.
I better go pick up those expansions and stuff.
I have the Moldy Crow. That's the only one that I bought.
They have them everywhere, and like if they're ending them, they might stop. Like So
this might be your chance.
Yeah.
Shatterpoint.
That's sad because I still have my beginners thing for that. X-wing and Armada were axed. Why?
Let's see, because
X-wing
they want
big
more money. They want you to buy. I mean, there's been so many Star Wars miniatures games, but yeah, I guess at a certain point they have their natural lifespan. They release enough expansions, and
that means like either Jays is going to stop carrying them, or
why would they?
I don't know, or they're going to charge a lot more.
They carry vintage stuff too
because they're not going to make any more of them.
I know the chain he's talking about, and they have both vintage and modern stuff.
Yeah, but like I said, they know what they're selling, so
yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm saying. Is like now they're not going to make it anymore. They're going to charge like double for everything.
So buy it now.
Sucks.
Yeah. The best time to buy something is right when it ends and people are trying to get rid of it. Stores are trying to clear it off their shelves. People are chucking it in the trash because they want to buy the new thing. And
that doesn't happen much anymore. People chuck them in the trash. No.
Chuck them in the trash. Put it in the garbage masher along with the Empire.
Yeah, that's sad. Well,
Armada was the other one. Okay. Well, the game that I saw people playing with like ships, and I saw people playing with ground troops. So I didn't know which was which. The setups were awesome. I mean, everything was fully painted. They had the play mats with like the background of the stars, whatever. They had terrain. They had vehicles. I mean, if I wasn't spending all my time playing HeroQuest and Kill Team, I might have jumped in on some of that action.
Hey, we should do like an X-wing thing.
Yeah, I'd try it. I mean, getting back into HeroQuest has made me feel like, okay, 1, I'm old. 2, I can learn new things. So, I mean, I'm willing to try these other games. And I tried Space Crusade, Battle Masters.
They're going with just Legion and Shatterpoint. What frustrates me about that is they could have used the same scale, and they didn't. I'm not sure what that would have been there. X-wing was fun to play. See, I wasn't very familiar with Legion or Shatterpoint, but
it might have been whatever the most recent game is. That might have been what they had. But I mean, last year they had the same thing. Like I swear, the people had the same table set up. So it was like Battle of Hoth, Battle of Endor, Battle of Yavin. Someone had the Death Star trench run. It was very elaborate. They had the whole trench. It was like some kind of resin thing. It was like, wow, it must have been expensive. Yeah, Bohemius. That is.
So I'm showing it just to let you know.
Yep.
Ooh, look at that.
So Bohemius, just tell your mom, make stovetop, invite us over.
Yeah.
We'll play with your toys.
These all the Star Wars miniatures you have are in a lot better condition than mine.
And nicely sorted too.
Yeah. Now that I have more space, I could
like
probably
Jabba the Hutt at
I
the
could
top.
probably sort them now that I have more time.
Yeah.
I should probably look for some like online, see if they have any. But
Yeah, get some cheap ones. I mean, if this is like the
where
game nobody wants anymore.
where are your Old Republic figures, son?
The last remnants of the old republic have been swept away.
I'm just kidding.
Control without the bureaucracy. Regional governors will be in direct control of their territories.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Hey,
Fear will keep
calm
the local
down.
systems in
Calm
line.
down there, Tarkin.
Fear
Okay,
this battle station.
calm down.
I'll be ultimate power leaders. Okay.
You're gonna
I was
overload.
I was I was joking that like the way we're set up right now, you can just
got-
like backhand me.
Gungans with shields. I need more. I don't know, but I might have some things that you might need. You have a lot that I would like.
We're gonna set up a trade right here.
I liked clone troopers. I don't know. If I were to get back into the game, it would be different. Like,
Do you have any Bombad generals?
I still have all my cards and stuff too. So, like,
I like the fact that you've got Jabba the Hutt in there.
yeah, that's somebody I don't have.
Yeah.
I also have the big ones. I have I didn't show. I don't know if I showcased those, but I have like a lot of the big.
Battles might have been legions.
Oh,
okay.
I'm not familiar with Legion.
Got Gungans and shields. Yeah.
So, like,
I know nothing. He's the guy.
yeah, I'm not very familiar with Legion or Shatterpoint. I think Legion. Oh, I think I've seen Legion before. I think Legion was the one I looked at that was like super fucking expensive.
Oh, wow. I want to say the very
'Cause-
first Star Wars RPG was a miniatures game.
Where's the? It's the core set, 2-player battle miniature strategy game. Yeah, $95, and then the 501st Legion expansions, 130. Jeez, dude. Yeah, this is the one that has like ridiculous,
But these are all
expensive expansions.
you open the box and you can play a battle with those guys, right? Or is that just an army?
I think so, and I think Legion had the big. Doesn't Legion have the big capital ships too, like the huge ones that you can?
Oh yeah,
buy?
I've seen those. Yeah, the Star Destroyers.
Yeah,
I think
like,
the X-Wing game had those too. Big.
yeah, but I don't think they were as big. I can't remember. And those ones were like fucking humongous.
See, if I was playing that game, I probably wouldn't even buy those. I'd just make them out of like styrofoam or something. I mean, as cool as it would be to have a big chunk of
yeah, and these
plastic.
are like basic miniature. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
So if you like miniatures, there's a lot of miniatures games out there.
Yeah,
Famous and not so famous.
Shatterpoint.
I guess for me, it's less about
I
what
have
the
no idea
miniatures
what
look
this one
like and
is.
more about what the game is. Like to me, HeroQuest is a very accessible game. It's very easy to learn,
Oh, this looks nice. These ones are cool.
very expandable.
See,
And I'm sure you could apply the same principles to these other games if you wanted to. I mean, you might have hardcore people who are like, no, you've got to play it this specific way.
thanks, Daniel. I appreciate the description. So
Shatterpoint's a skirmish game.
Yeah.
Legion is a Star Wars version of Warhammer 40k. Yeah,
So
and
of course
40k
that-
is a war game.
So I actually like the.
4-day gaming binge coming starting Thursday for me. We're gonna throw down hard.
I like these miniatures a lot more.
Yeah.
I see, and I care about the miniatures depending on the size and stuff because you can use them for more than just the game that you're playing. Especially if you want to do like a D&D like tabletop thing, you can use.
Yeah,
That's why I used those Star Wars miniatures because there were a bunch of all different like types, like races, from different parts of different sagas, all over the place.
yeah.
So
I mean, it's a tool to fuel the imagination,
yeah,
is what it is. Otherwise, you could just use plain old pawns for anything.
heroic scale.
Scale, yeah. 32 millimeter See, I'm used to the 28 millimeter. I thought that
So
was
they're
the right
pretty,
scale, but I don't
they're
know.
pretty big, huh? They're big. All right. Anything else you've got in regards to HeroQuest?
That's pretty much it. I think we're just waiting for more news. I know. Well, okay, I'll say this. I know several people, CKSM, one of them, and Inspector Retro, they've been going to these local game stores that are doing demos for HeroQuest. And when they say a demo, it's not what you think. Like I would think, oh yeah, this is how you play HeroQuest. You want to buy it? It's like no, they actually sit down for like a couple hours and play a game. They play a game, and then when the game is over, they give you free dice to take home. Like that's the deal. So lots of people. So the dice that I've been giving away from Gen Con, they're giving them away at these Wizards of the Coast affiliated stores. So the Mountain Dew dice, the yellow dice, the piss dice, whatever you want to call them. Yes, those dice you can get at these stores. But I checked the little store locator thing. There's no stores within like 50 miles of me. They play tons of Magic the Gathering, and people said, hey, don't knock Magic the Gathering because without MTG, these stores would go under because that's what keeps them going. It's like, fine. But can't you sprinkle a little HeroQuest in there now and then? So I think if I wanted to do this, I would have to take my copy of HeroQuest to that store and get people to play it. But then I wouldn't get the free dice. So I don't know. If you're out there and you've got some extra dice and you want to send them my way, I'm not saying I need them. I mean, they're not the best dice in the world. I brought one with me, but yeah. That's basically all I got. So can't get dice. Waiting for first light. TseuQuesT is TseuQuesT. Welcome Dano says I'm running HeroQuest at a gaming convention the beginning of September. Oh, cool. Looking forward to it. Strong Tower game. Oh, Strong Tower Game Con. It'll be fun. Yeah. I had a blast at Gen Con. I love playing in person. And I got to play as Zargon, yes, but I also got to play as a hero a couple of times. So that was a lot of fun. And Doug Hopkins is hilarious as Zargon. He really did a great job.
Sorry, I was making sure I'm all signed in.
Yeah, after all the nonsense we went through, I don't blame you.
Yeah, my favorites are gone on.
So does anybody have any closing comments about HeroQuest before we move on to our next topic?
We're actually going to take a small break, but I gotta make sure my for some reason my
break topic. Just when it was getting good.
That's right.
RantCast. Yeah, so I think HeroQuest is in good hands, and we haven't heard anything that's made me think that it's going down the tubes. If you go to the Hasbro website and look at their board of directors page, it's a mess. Like, I don't even know what's going on with that. Who they're hiring, who they're firing, who's in charge of what. I mean, a couple of people, see, I feel bad. I should have taken notes, but when I was there, like, there was a new woman, because I don't remember her name, I'm sorry. New woman, she said, oh, I'm this. And it's like, so she named her position at the company. And
as new woman.
Yeah, so there's a few new people, but I don't know if they have the same exact roles as the people that were let go or how that's going. But anyway, as long as Hasbro gives them the tools that they need to make the products that they want to make, we'll see. Yeah, book 'em Dano.
I didn't know if you read them or not.
Oh yeah, I did. I
Okay.
did. No, Strong Tower Gaming Con. So if you're going there, find Bookham Dano, and he's got a HeroQuest game going.
And tell him to book him, Dano.
Oh yeah, Nova Open. Can you look something up real quick? I know we got to go a break, but Nova Open. Is that over with? That just happened? Yeah, there's this gaming convention. Nova Open.
Bohemian says, I want to rant about the fact that the Avalon Hill game nights are impossible to track.
Yes.
And Dano says, okay, to post the tabletop event link.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Jacer says Milwaukee.
Okay, so Nova Open is August 28th to September 1st. So some of you may know about this, but Chris Nato, formerly at Avalon Hill, now at Tops. He was the.
Oh, is that where he's at now?
Yep. I think it's called It's Tops and Fanatics. So they make like sports memorabilia and collectibles. Anyway, he donated the HeroQuest stuff that he had left. I think he actually sold his Guardian Knight. To be fair, he waited until you could buy it in retail. But he donated his games to Nova Open. So somebody, some lucky kid probably, is going to win that set of stuff. So August 28th to September 1st in Washington, D.C. And actually PSK Studio, PSK Knucklehead, who some of us remember from the early Frozen Horror days, he is retired military, and he facilitated the donation to go to Nova Open. So, yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. I mean, it's sad that, Hasbro fired, all those people, but at the same time, it's like, okay, they're trying to pay it forward. And I have talked with him a little bit, and, he's said good things about the people there, and I think he believes in them, and we, the fans, believe in them. The people at Avalon Hill now, people like Craig Von Ness and Patrick O'Rourke, Doug Hopkins, they all seem to be gung-ho about it. And we just hope that, they're just allowed to do what they do and stay connected. And, of course, what they have told me is that they want the fans to just express, tell us what you want. We'll listen. We'll try to make it happen. It just might take 18 months.
Ribby, you're a traitor. Going to Disney.
Midwinter. Up, down. Only about hour 20 away. Oh, he's going to Disney. Man. Well, may the force be with you, son.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead and share the links. I mean, there's lots of... Gen Con is not the only place in town. I mean, people used to say, well, San Diego Comic-Con is too expensive. Just find a local convention in your area. Just go to it. It's fun. Play some games with some people. Why not? Have a ball.
All right.
Go to break.
With that, we're going to take a quick break.
RantQuest.
Be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah.
Right. RantCast. All right. So,
Bohemia shared a link if you want to see an unboxing of TseuQuesT.
oh boy, do I. That actually would be
Also, shout out to CyberSound Music.
kind of neat to see. Yes, so, and I've kind of been awful about that. But yes.
Zero. Well, I don't want them to mute our music.
I think it's about time we change it up anyway. But
I still use Carl Casey, but I mean this stuff's pretty cool too. So Zero. I'll let you do it.
Well, I was gonna say, hey, if you like what you hear, go to YouTube and type in CyberSound Music. All rights belong to CyberZero. They don't really have a link for their.
I'm used to the John Wick one, the aim
for stuff.
That one's pretty cool too.
If anyone wants the tower defense quest, I would be happy to share. Yeah, man,
Yeah,
go
man.
ahead and share.
So
Give the community some support. You can also share it in the
Kasem at Strong Bad Audio.
yeah.
Oh yeah, he's gonna
Strong Bad.
Strong Bad. He's gonna.
Reminds me of the Strong Bad game.
Well, the original Strong Bads were from Tag Team Pro Wrestling on the Sega Master System, I believe. The Strong Bads. They were like
Wrestling.
yeah, superhero.
You want to know what reminds me of wrestling? Not this. But what is it? Just breathing? Is it just breathing? Yeah.
You take the pro wrestling promos where they
Hold on! Don't ruin it! Don't ruin it! Don't ruin it!
It's Something to see.
Don't ruin it. What
Now
is
that is something you should see.
What is it calling? Called? I forgot.
Just breathing.
They called it. It's. I thought it was called something else.
So Ribby sold the kidney to go to Disney.
Oh man. Yeah.
His girlfriend forced him to. The
There you
things we
go.
do for love.
This is
Absolutely no words.
just for you guys.
Yep.
Here you go. This is
Audio
how
jungle.
people really, really wrestle.
Now this is wrestling. When did you think of that? You gotta yell so that you can keep up.
Dude, Ric Flair is the best, bro. It's amazing. Just
Makes me think of Mr. Data from his does the sharpen hair.
sent a quest to both of you via Discord. Thank you. There's your comedic stuff. Oh, I'm ruining it. All right, here we go.
Do not attempt at home. You'll hyperventilate.
Some of those are great though. And you can kind of catch one little divot of word, and it's great.
See, that's such it's such a funny thing about streamers. Well, where you're streaming live, okay, fine, but then YouTubers, like, they'll cut out every breath, so it's just like it's like it's very unnatural. Like, when I listen to myself, I hear myself breathing, and it drives me nuts. But when you're just listening to a person, you're not like, oh, he breathed again. You're like,
all right,
just part of the human condition.
So just
let it be.
As a reminder to everybody, if you want to join in on the conversation, you can join in on us. I do have a stream and group voice chat via my Discord. You're free to join us at the RantCast Podcast. You can hop in at the bus Discord, just send me a DM, or hop into the basic chat and just let us know if you'd like to join. Our next topic of discussion.
There we go. Point in the right direction.
I have a direct message. Hold on. What's this?
Oh,
This is
probably
what-
the quest.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome, Dano.
Except that DM. Oh, yeah, there we go.
I played some tower defense games. Hey,
So,
because people keep asking me, when are you going to play some, like, custom adventures? And it's like, I'm trying to play the official ones, but it's like, hey, maybe we could do a live game. Try it out. Thanks, Dano.
so not as exciting as the HeroQuest stuff, because I know everybody likes the HeroQuest stuff.
Oh, come on.
But I
get just as passionate about the Star Wars stuff. But I just let someone else bring it up.
On Star Wars news, I'm going to start with the topic that most people probably already know, but I'm going to. I literally just found this out like an hour or so ago. But the Acolyte officially not going to have a second season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I haven't seen the show. A lot of people were pissed at this show.
I can bring up multiple sources, but we'll just reference this one source here.
It coming.
According to a couple sources that I found here, but we'll reference, space.com. We'll kind of go to another source if need be. But Acolyte has been officially canceled, reaching the lowest viewership
So 8 episodes.
for its finale. Lowest viewership all the way to its finale on Disney Plus. Yes, so it was getting a decent runner-up of viewers as it was starting. Then due to its kind of how it was received and how the show played out, it had a sharp decline of viewers, reaching the lowest rating at number 10 with 355 million minutes watched, compared to another kind of lower rating Star Wars TV show on that chart prior, which would have been the Book of Boba Fett. It's
man.
885 minutes watched,
So
which
this
is still mildly high. So that's a very, very low.
I like
count.
the term garbage tier. So this was a garbage tier show.
Yeah.
I mean, TV shows nowadays tend to be very short. Like a season is what, 8 episodes?
No, you use my Discord, Bohemius. I would make a Discord for the RantCast, but like
The bus of Discord.
That's a lot of Discord.
Strange bus, yeah.
So you just hop into the bus of Discord.
Ride the bus.
Ride the bus.
Yeah. So the Acolyte, I guess, couldn't have happened to a better show.
Couldn't have what?
Couldn't have happened to a worse show.
Yeah. I mean, taking a look at here, like I said,
people didn't. Okay, I'm just thinking back to when a Star Wars movie came out. Couldn't wait to see it. Here, people didn't even bother to watch the last episode, the finale, the climax of the show. That says a lot.
Yeah. So,
because I can understand, people watch it and go, I didn't like it. It was disappointing, like Game of Thrones. Everybody tuned into that and then complained about it afterwards. But here, people didn't even watch the last episode. It's like, dang.
actually, you know what? We'll
So it's the fans' fault. See,
reference.
It's like this.
While you're saying that, here I'm going to reference a
Excuses.
different link here.
G tier, garbage tier.
Something that has a little bit more detail.
I feel bad for people like Star Wars Man.
Star Wars. Well, you quit saying that.
I know.
Come on,
Stealing
you're
jokes.
not Mike Closet.
Star Wars Theory is a guy, and he says a lot of things, but sounds like he was right on the money. I mean, he told you so. He really did. And they went after him. They called him names, didn't they? Didn't members of the Acolyte go after him?
I think Hedlund brought it up a couple times, but
Called him a toxic
never. I don't think
man,
it. I don't know if they addressed him directly, but
Didn't
they
call him a
did bring
man
him up.
baby.
Now I'm trying to find out.
Like, you spent all that money and nobody wanted your show. I mean, it sucks. It sucks for everybody that worked on it. I mean, they all got paid. I was listening to trying to think what show it was. Michael Keaton with the Batgirl movie that was completely scrapped. He's like, I don't care. I got paid. So, well, yeah, but what are you gonna say? Like, oh, I should have forced the studio to release what they knew was a flop.
See, now I can't find the official article. Now I'm all sorts of upset.
Been erased from the interwebs. Destroyed by the Empire. Well, Kathleen Kennedy said she wouldn't retire
Hey,
until.
you bringing up my stuff?
Well, I'm just saying.
There it is.
Okay. I'm just the excitable co-host here.
Here, we'll reference space.com because
Space.com. Final Frontier. These are.
so with the number of
Windows
sites and permanently disgruntled fans, the site Age of Go series would be terrible. Cancellation rumors already started to pile up even before its season 1 premiere. Roughly 1 month after I wouldn't say strong season finale. Capped a notable second half of the season deadline, and Variety are reporting that Disney and Lucasfilm decided not to move forward with season 2. I can't remember what they call it, but you can check the charts now for minutes watched, and it will show its rating 10th, like dead last. So
That's really bad, because I feel like with streaming you can cheat so easily. Like, someone could turn the stream on and just pass out, and they still count it.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
They've surveyed.
That's
right?
what people were saying about how you can hate watch something and they still count it. But getting to that here in a minute, the audience score hit 80% with more than 25,000 ratings.
18%.
So yeah,
Wow.
So they said it started off strong, but did not have this is where I'm saying, like, when you get to something that says like it has a strong following from critics and stuff like that, kind of don't believe what you see all the time, because
Yeah, they cook
you
the
know,
books.
yeah.
Well, Bookham Dano is saying, so how can you feel bad about it? Never has there been as much Star Wars content. Admittedly, some of the stuff isn't as good as others. Acolyte just felt way different than all the other released stuff. I'm not sure it was because of the era they focused on or simply just a dud. Well, I'm trying to think what show it was. The guy had an insightful comment. He said, "This is just the Undertaker Kane storyline from WWF from the '90s."
So to me, it wasn't Star Wars. Like it was somebody's ham-fisted story
They're trying to
that they were trauma dumping into.
they're trying to force their way into Star Wars and make it like just like beat it into their own
Well,
thing.
no, they weren't telling a good story. Like, and that's what
Yeah.
and that's where I kind of, like I said, I'm referencing a little bit of theory here, but like it's true because they used big characters towards the end of the season. They ham-fisted a couple characters. They fought to get them in there.
Yoda, Kiadi Mundi.
Yeah, like Plagueis.
See, I haven't seen the show, and I know this stuff.
And like I said, I didn't watch it either. I took everything I learned from other people, and I read the synopsis. And like I said, I wouldn't give that movie a watch, even if I like I said, I would have rather pirated it. But I didn't even do that. So.
But see, this is what they've driven us to. Like, look how much effort we've expended not to watch the show.
Because
like,
I don't want to give it a view, and that's what I'm saying is like the big thing here is that it was ham-fisted in, and those characters were ham-fisted in, and the story was kind of told from a ridiculous perspective. And if you've listened to the previous rantcasts about me talking about it, the big thing here was a lot of the stuff that she was trying to portray with certain characters were either not portrayed correctly, like the message was not portrayed clearly. Some people got it if that's what they were looking for. Other people, a lot of people, didn't receive it that way, or it was kind of portrayed differently in an interview. Like, for example, the big one that I brought up was there was a lot of like weird points of sexism or just like weird authoritarian like values in that show. And that, like I said, this was all brought up with like clips and things that Headland like said herself in an
this
interview.
is not people reading into it. This is what they intended people to think when you're watching it.
Like in the finale, there was a character, Soul, who cared much for one of the sisters in that show, and he ends up getting killed by that sister, and she force chokes him, and like I guess according to Headland, he tells her that's okay, and I guess that's wrong. He's not even giving her the satisfaction of killing him. And like
you can't let someone you got to ruin somebody's pure evil moment.
To me, even then, it was like you would have given it more value if it was like she was just super fucking evil, like she turned, and we were supposed to relate more to Soul at that time because he had like more of a father figure-esque thing, and he was just failing, like, or he was okay with it because he just loved her. And like I don't know, like it's one of those things where I've been so disconnected from this show that coming back to it now, even trying to review again after looking at this topic, it's hard because I've just wanted it out of my brain.
Yeah. Well,
so
Bookham Dano says it was disjointed.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's confusing to everybody. Even people want to give it a chance. Yeah. So if you
let me ask you something, and I've been wondering about this since the show was announced. I thought the whole point of the Acolyte was to give you a sympathetic portrayal of the Sith. This was like the devil's advocate kind of story. Did they succeed at all in trying to do that, or was that just
a
weird pitch.
To be honest, I can't tell you exactly.
Sympathy for the devil.
I haven't fully watched it, but from what I've been told, and what I've seen from parts of the show that I have seen, it tells a very weird view of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And it tries to make you support a turn to the dark side from a sympathetic point of view.
Like, I can understand why Anakin fell because the Jedi were such jerks.
No, not even that. Like, because like the way Lucas wanted you to portray Anakin's fall was, you were
Ruby's comment.
Hold on, I'll get to that. It was, you were supposed to look at it with, like, oh no, he's falling the dark side. He can't, because he's not able to save the ones that he loves, or, he took down Windu. So, I mean, there's multiple points. He took down Windu. He felt like there's no going back. This is the only way he could save Padme, blah, blah, blah.
Some good motivations, but also
it's not
selfish.
right. You know that it wasn't right, but you understood kind of where he was coming from. And then as he went further and further, he was doing evil things, and you were like, oh no. Like, he's knocking kids, so like that's not good.
I'm not saying that Lucas completely succeeded, but I like that story idea because that's like Frankenstein. It's like, okay, his dad messed him up. You can understand that, but at a certain point he makes a choice that I'm going to be vengeful and I'm going to destroy things.
Meanwhile,
that's the right way to do it.
The Acolyte wants you to sympathize with I don't even know about May's point in this, because what May's role in all this was, because from what I was told, Osha was the Jedi at one point in time. May was the person coming in to like take out all these people, and then they just switched roles. And I don't know when or how, and from what I was told, from like just in general from people reviewing this, it's just it's very vague on how that's described. So, and then just at the end of the show, May gets her fucking memory wiped, and she's like a useless piece of shit after that. So, but what they want you to do is sympathize with her fall to the dark side as if she was like a young girl growing to be a woman and branching out on her own, which, if you wanted to portray the independent woman role, you could do that, because Sol and Osha are it could be that sort of thing, but the way it was portrayed was very poor. And I don't think that her storytelling, not only I don't think it belongs to Star Wars, how she was telling it. Like I said, I'm not saying how you tell a story. Like if you want to portray something that has your own trauma in it, fine. I think it's how you do it, right? So I'm not saying that your story doesn't belong in Star Wars. I'm saying that if you're a bad storyteller, I don't think it belongs anywhere. Personally, in Hollywood, I think you're going to tell a bad story and it's going to suck. And I hate to sound crude, but no offense, I haven't seen this lady win anything drastic in her resume at all.
No.
And that's what I'm saying is, like, she sat here and fucking, bragged about how she was able to get, certain people in the show and do certain things and portray certain values. And a lot of things did not make sense. The space witches didn't make sense. A lot of things could have been solved via just communicating. Like, Sol didn't mention to Osha that he killed her mom because she looked aggressive when she was attacking him. Or, the fact that, like, he tries to save both Osha and May in that flashback, but he ends up holding the bridge and not the two girls. So
why is it? I mean, so many of these pieces, as you described them, I'm thinking of, there's like good fiction that does it right. So like Shakespeare and like King Arthur, those are two like areas where the miscommunication is part of the story and part of the tragedy. But it's like, why does it work there but not here?
From what's been told to me, the plot can only plot if it works this way.
So people have to do stupid things.
Yeah, because there was a story that needed to be told, and if it wasn't told this way, they couldn't get the story to go further. For example, I think that she couldn't have seen a way that there was only one way to save Osha unless he grabbed the bridge. Which I think that if they rewrote that to like, instead of a fucking bridge,
Yeah.
you know, both of them were going to fall off a cliff and he went to go grab them, or they were both going to fall off the bridge, he went to go grab them and something interrupted him while doing that and he could only grab one of them and he fucked up and then he felt bad for it. Yeah. Then, you know, there's your, you know, saving grace. It just goes to show that, I feel that she was more focused on the personal trauma aspect and not on the rest of the show.
Maybe.
Like a lot of the Jedi they seem like they're very undercover and very like they have a very like cover-uppy sort of story. Like
Jedi Pinkertons.
They're trying to there's a lot of murders going around. They don't seem too interested on solving that, or
and it's only 100 years before
they're doing
the
bad. They're like doing bad deeds, like or Ki-Adi-Mundi's like been shown to cover up certain deeds that you wouldn't actually know his character to be doing, and that's what I'm saying is like they portray the Jedi in kind of a darker light, which, you know, I'm not saying that's bad. It's the fact that they're doing the whole Jedi Order as that.
Yeah,
like a
it's
good
not just
chunk
a few
of
bad
them.
apples. It's everybody.
So,
well,
yeah.
Rib, do you want to jump on Ribby's comment there?
The whole point of all modern shows is to abuse the audience and shit on every hero or positive thing that they come for. But see, I don't always agree with that either. Like, I just think that she can't write a good story, and that's it. It's like I don't. She. This is where I think that she wrote her trauma into the story. Right? Is that like maybe she had a really bad fucking experience in life, and because of the current outgoings and today's world, she saw an opportunity to tell that story, to make money, and to put it into Star Wars, because a lot of people feel their need is to change things and to push an agenda, because they feel like people don't realize how traumatic and how awful the world can be, so they're trying to put it into other people's escapist entertainment, and I feel like that's not a good way to go about things. There are certain forms of entertainment you can do that with. There are certain forms of nonfiction, and there are documentaries you can do, and there are things you can do for that. And I feel like I don't know. I feel like the way that
do it in a comic book, maybe, or something.
Or just in general, keep that much out of Star Wars. I don't feel like that much is like putting a little bit in there is fine, but I feel like it was very ham-fisted. It wasn't written well, and just from what I was told, it was not written well, and just even the non-trauma parts, like just like where they were trying to, like I said, the space witch thing where it was controlling the Wookiee Jedi didn't make any sense. How they died didn't make any sense. Nothing was like particularly explained. But I can't make that particular, assumption without actually watching it.
Well,
but like I said, based on a lot of other people's reviews, I listened to a couple of podcasts from people who watched everything up to the finale. I've seen clips from every episode, and I was planning on watching it via.
And you didn't get through Ahsoka
Disney.
either, did you?
I did not make it all the way through Ahsoka because,
you didn't get through Ahsoka,
but I watched it. I did watch Ahsoka, and
cross the arms, Ahsoka.
Yeah,
anyway,
I did watch Ahsoka, and I could tell you that, I can give you my opinion on that. But
well, can I say something here? No. I'm just thinking back to the conversations we had in the classic Star Wars era when the prequels came out, and people were defending the weaknesses of the prequels by saying, well, the original trilogy had these problems too, And I'm thinking the answer back then was, yes, but we forgave those shortcomings because the rest of the package was so good. And because it was new, of course, that too. So one, it doesn't pay to repeat the mistakes of the past, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to get forgiven for what you do. Like when you're watching Alfred Hitchcock and you see that the train is just a model, the rest of the story is so awesome you don't care that it looks fake. But when you're watching The Room and you see the green screen behind him on the rooftop, you're like, that looks like crap and the movie sucks. So I'm going to make fun of all of it. So there are deconstructive stories, of anti-heroes and all that. There's trauma stories about groups that don't communicate and it leads to tragedy. There's sympathy for the devil stories. There's all these things have been done before, but if the story's good, you forgive it. I mean, people asked in episode 2 when Yoda is holding up that big pillar, why didn't he just throw it at Dooku's ship and stop him from escaping? He could have ended the movie right there, but he didn't. So maybe the grabbing the bridge thing, I mean, because the show sucks so much, you see it and you go, well, this is just another piece of the pile. Whereas if it's a good movie, you can forgive it.
So to finish off, from a business perspective, even as outsiders, Fred Disney and Lucasfilm didn't see much of a point in putting more money into a big bet that hadn't really paid off in the end. Of course, TV shows used to be allowed to grow and develop in the past, but the streaming era, when budgets are so bloated, competition so fierce, you either have to have a big hit on your first try or you're out. I kind of agree and disagree with this point here, but at the same time...
And what article is this that we're looking at?
So this is from, I believe, Space.
Oh, yeah, space.com.
So at the end of the day, the Acolyte was given a $180 million budget as opposed to Kenobi's $80 million. And Kenobi still got more of a response, even though it wasn't all great.
No.
Still got more of a response than this did. And that's what I'm saying. Kenobi got close to what Book of Boba Fett did, and that was what? Cause it's 885. They got 880.
I saw Kenobi. I did not see Book of Boba Fett.
So, and a lot of people did not like the Book of Boba Fett, which I didn't mind. But
but see, I watched reviews. I saw clips, and that convinced me not to watch it.
But you can definitely tell where my tolerance lies because I think Ahsoka was lower than that, lower than
your patience
Kenobi was, and so like I'm saying is it would be, it's just goes to show you where a lot of this shit goes.
Yeah. Jacer's got some good comments there.
So Anakin misunderstood his dream and self-fulfilled it. So trying to prevent her from dying, chose to try to learn cheat death for Padme.
Count Dooku would make a better sympathy for the devil story.
Watching the Clone Wars and kind of reading up on a lot of that stuff and learning about kind of his growth from that, I think kind of helps a little bit more. Yeah. Just going straight from episode 2 to episode 3.
I'm a big prequel defender, except for episode 1. So I feel like those ideas are there. Maybe they're not as developed as in some of the better stories, but it's pretty good.
To me, nothing can ever defend how the love story develops between those two. It's so hard in episode 2 to get that down.
But I mean, again, not to say it's good because it's cringe the whole way. It's cringe. But if you study Romeo and Juliet, these are two idiots. But the problem is, see, Romeo and Juliet would have just had a regular teenage romance.
Kurgan defending Yippee.
Yeah.
So it's super creepy because nothing about Anakin in episode 2 screams, jump my bones.
But see, okay, let me just say this. Romeo and Juliet, you've watched it or read it or...
Yeah, but even in there was a diehard connection. There was a building of romance or tension between.
I just killed your cousin. Let's get it on.
Okay, but still, in between there was a building of it went from quit staring at me, you've got grape eyes to, to hey, I'm.
Our lives are gonna get destroyed anyway.
Jedi can't be attached. We're forbidden. We're forbidden to hey. You're making me love you. Quit making me love you. That kiss has become a scar. To, oh well, we're gonna die anyway. Let's make out. Yeah. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
But what I'm trying to say is, okay, Romeo and Juliet, they're just two teenage idiots. All right, they fall in love. But see, they would have just been fine. But the problem is their families are so messed up and so violent and fighting each other. That's why it goes wrong. And so you could say, well, It's not quite the same because they're both on the same side, right? She's a senator, and he's a Jedi. Okay.
Also, keep in mind that if you're on a date with somebody and they say, "Oh, by the way, I know you're an experienced politician, but everybody should just get in one meeting, figure out what they want to do, and just do it." Well, that's what we do, but not everybody agrees. Well, then somebody should make them agree. That's communism, bud. That's a
Sounds like
dictatorship.
dictatorship to me.
Yeah, that's a dictatorship. Oh, well, if it works, I'm gonna
hot.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave you here, and I'm gonna go get picked up somewhere else.
Yeah, I often wondered, was he using mind tricks on her?
I don't know.
Or she was just so alone.
It's just
she
one
was
of
so
those
desperate.
things where
But she's like so strong-willed and so smart, but then it's like he comes over and she's like, "Duh." It just goes out the window.
That's what
people do stupid things
to me is how I pictured it in my mind. Because in order to get through episode 2, you had to watch that part, those parts. To me, the only thing was that she had a thing for him. Slowly, as like when he was older Anakin. So like as they got to know each other on Naboo, there was parts that you didn't see where they were talking, and yes, she just had like a thing for him as he had a thing for her. And since he was kind of pulling that like 50 no's and a yes means yes sort of shit, then like eventually it just kind of built. But like, you know, yes, she played the hard to get thing, and then like eventually it wasn't happening.
But whenever you were watching that, did you ever think to yourself, "Oh man, I hope they get together and I hope they're happy"? Or
Well, I
you
was
just
like 10,
no,
because like
stay.
eventually when you're like my age, somebody who walks up to you and says, "I didn't just kill the men, but the women and the children too," kind of screams, "I don't want to have kids with you."
Because you're a crazy psycho.
Because you're a fucking
murderer.
psychopath. Yeah. So there's actually supposed to be a scene, I think, that was told by Lucas that like while he's sitting there bitching to Padme while they're packing, that like Obi-Wan's holding him back. There's supposed to be a handmaiden in the background like giggling.
What?
Because he's like sitting there like crybabying himself to death. Like,
oh, weird.
Yeah, and Palpatine was also grooming him and controlling him at the same time. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing I was going to say about the whole, and I'm not defending the Acolyte, but the patheticness of evil. Like, there's something that Lucas was saying about Darth Vader. It's like, okay, he wanted to be this badass, like, awesome guy. And some people see Darth Vader that way. It's like, he's the ultimate villain. He's so cool. He's so powerful. He's so awesome. And it's like, well, actually, he's in constant pain. And, you know, he failed in everything he set out to do. And he's totally corrupted and, you know, hates himself and all this stuff. So actually, you wouldn't want to be him. You don't want to be Tony Montana because his life sucks, even though he's at the top. So, I mean, you could look at it that way. But it's like, maybe if the Acolyte was trying to tell that story that, yeah, you want to be a Sith, you want to be all powerful, you want to destroy your enemies and get revenge, but it's going to be terrible. And it's actually going to hurt you. When you hurt other people, you get hurt as well. But then they just don't tell it right, so it just seems stupid. And, you know, I think of all those low-budget sci-fi movies that I watched as a kid where they had this awesome, like, message, but it was just told in such a poor, haphazard manner that it didn't matter. Big ideas, poor execution.
Indeed.
So Kathleen Kennedy will never retire.
So
she needs to win.
She was talking. There was a kind of a statement made a couple weeks ago, I believe. This was 16th. Actually, so a couple days ago, but like I think it first was brought up about a week or so ago. That Kathleen Kennedy was asked if she was ever going to officially retire, especially with all the things that were being brought up, and you know, the fact that there was a lot going on between, you know, Disney and Lucasfilm, all that stuff like that. And she, she's pretty old. She's getting pretty old now. Like I think she's in her mid to late 60s. She's getting old. And
shout out to Chris Gore, Film Threat.
So
yeah. I like
this is reference from IMDb here, but so you know, she did mention that during this period of time, while she was asked if she was ever going to retire, she stated that she was thinking of like making plans to step down, but she was waiting on kind of like a big win, kind of like a big, or like kind of like a big grab kind of. So I don't know if she's waiting on just something even the slightest. I don't know what a big win is to her, but
She should have retired after The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
Because that was her biggest win.
Yeah, so according to this, Kennedy's open retirement, but as one condition that may not sit well with critics. So, and that is stating that she's waiting for kind of a major hit. Which, if that's really your retirement dream, to me it's kind of sad, because then like you've been waiting this long for something like that. I can't remember the last really big hit you've had.
So this is George Foreman going back into the ring to win one more time before he calls it quits.
Yeah, so I don't know. This is kind of like a haphazard article, but like I said before, I don't particularly know what a big win is to her, because there were a couple of like good shows that got like mild skepticism. Like I said, I don't think Kenobi was bad, but a lot of people criticized it due to like weird memes, like certain characters and stuff like that, and like there were some certain toxicity thrown about, which didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
You had other big shows, The Mandalorian, stuff like that. So unless like I guess the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that comes out, that's a big hit, then maybe she steps down. But I don't know. Like that's. But either way, she's getting kind of up there.
Deadpool and Mandalorian.
So. I don't know what a big win means to her, because the last time I haven't even checked the numbers on some of these films that were released, the Star Wars films, but or even the Star Wars stories that were released, but I know
I can tell you some of the stuff. Force Awakens made almost $2 billion.
Yeah, so like if we're looking at something that may not be received well, but like hits well in the box office, or does well on a streaming service, then...
But man, people have piled on The Force Awakens. Like, at the time, tons of people were defending it, saying it was the best, best thing ever. The best movie since Empire, I think they were saying.
I mean, look, I didn't mind it, and I've rewatched it.
Last Jedi was very divisive, and then people piled on top of Rise of Skywalker. A lot of people said Rogue One was okay.
And she does not need to clone herself. She just needs to step down. I mean, like, at the end of the day, I'm not even hoping for that.
Kathleen Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
Clone.
I'm not even hoping.
Kennedy.
I'm not even hoping for that, because, like, at the end of the day, even if she steps down, some other, like, weirdo is going to probably take her place.
Mallory branch to stop the Force from making her crazy.
But yeah, I just think somebody else weird is going to take her place. So
somebody else weird is going to take her place. You heard it here, folks.
Well, like like another like weird corporate mongrel.
Yeah.
But like I don't think anybody like big or better is going to replace that. And like a lot of people have relied on Favreau or Filoni for such a long time.
You hear that, Elon? Don't do it. You don't want this brand. Elon must buy Star Wars.
Man, you're lining them up today.
I'm joking, but who's to say? Right.
But yeah, so like that's kind of where kind of one of the things that we were getting brought up throughout the week was it's like everybody's kind of like brought up that she needs to step down, like angry people, angry fans, and I was surprised that she even mentioned something like that. But
if you could tell me that the person who was going to replace her actually did care about the story and wasn't going to just repeat all the same mistakes.
Well, that could be anybody.
Like, yeah, it could be anybody.
But at the same time, once again, this was Lucas's choice for a replacement. At one point in time, probably gave a shit and
he chose poorly.
Probably at one point in time did give a shit and then stopped due to, I don't know, money grubbing or her own agenda. So, and plus, like I said, people get old, they get grumpy, they get nasty. I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of one of those things where I don't know, too many pots going at the same time. Yeah, and that's another thing is like I don't expect it to get any like crazy amounts better. Technically, Filoni right now is the head of quality control.
There's people that like current Star Wars, but that group is much smaller than I think what they would want. They
Did
want
you
much
know that?
larger.
By the way, like that's why I was told, or that's why he's the head of so many projects right now.
Dave Filoni.
Yeah, he's like I believe like Pablo. He is Mr. Hidalgo. He is like the head of like kind of like lore and quality control, which is why he's taken the heat a lot for the Acolyte because he had to sign off on that.
Oh, okay.
Like a lot of it had to get brought to
So
Filoni. So like anything
not
that
the savior of Star Wars.
anything that Headland had to fight against, he had to sign off on. So just letting everybody know
Your
that
angry letters.
if he's overworked or anything, like a lot of the projects that I brought up before, I was like, man, that guy's doing a lot. It's probably because he was bumped up.
Too many pots at the same time. Focus on quality instead of pumping quantity.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna stop.
Yeah.
And if it does, it's probably because they're slowing down to the fact that like it's dying. It's they've squeezed it for everything that it has.
Yeah.
The Star Wars is out of juice.
Bring back the expanded universe.
I hope you're like, mildly being serious.
Well, there was a lot better stuff back then, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree with you, but I don't know if
you don't know if
fully
you believe
being
me.
serious.
No,
or
no,
not.
I'm
Fucking with me.
I'm being serious. So when Disney first bought Star Wars, and they started putting out products, they said, okay, the expanded universe is now going to be called Legends, and it doesn't count. But at the same time, they brought back
Still made money off of it.
Yeah,
though.
they reprinted a lot of books and a lot of comics with that new Legends logo on it. It's like they brought the stuff that was out of print back into print so they could tell you it wasn't canon.
So you could buy it, make money off of it.
Yeah, so they still wanted wanted to do both. It's not
Pretty sure
canon.
the publisher didn't even get money anymore. It was all Disney owned.
So I would just encourage fans who are disillusioned with Star Wars now, just go back to the old stuff that was good. And I'm not just talking about the original trilogy.
Speaking of old
comics,
stuff,
games, books, fan films.
So while we're sitting here dogging on Disney, because like I said,
They deserve it.
A lot of people have issues with Disney and their quality control, which I do too. I have that issue.
Yeah.
I'd like to take kind of a small reality check as well and bring us back to the year of 2011, 2012, when, a lot of us had that same problem with George Lucas. And it kind of brings me to my final topic of the night. This is why I was inviting people to this, is because to me, it was kind of hit to me because I was going through a lot of old videos, a lot of old podcasts from right before Disney bought Star Wars.
Yep.
Watched a lot of old Red Letter Media when they were interviewing a man named Alexander Philippe, who wrote the book The People versus George Lucas. I actually dived into that documentary myself for a little bit.
I think I've only seen excerpts of it.
So,
yeah.
And this was a time when, people before me,
it's like, who are you looking at?
Where I'm looking at you, where, we're, and I mean, even me, we're, calling off George Lucas.
I complained about Lucas. Yeah.
A lot of shit was going down between him and the fans. And,
yeah.
I feel like
he was a puppy dog compared to
I feel like it's really sad because like
he defended himself. He didn't call them names
because I feel like Star Wars has always kind of had its rough patch.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the reason it hasn't been as noticeable is because the amount of content that's been released and the amount of quality control was like low. Not like low quality.
Lucas did 3 movies that we could yell about. But how many has Disney made?
Yeah, so just a lot more. There's a lot more like actual entertainment released that people know about, as opposed to Star Wars back then had the expanded universe, had a couple TV shows. We didn't have all the stuff. You could choose to really ignore it if you wanted to. We had video games, more video games than anything else.
Video games were great.
Yeah, so
Some of them sucked, but there were some really great ones too.
but people were saying that he was ruining the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think of those days were some of the greatest days, and
Yeah.
man, taking it for granted because like
Yep. The low points back then were better than the low points now, for sure.
but at the same time you had a man who had full control of his IP,
Mm-hmm.
who could not find perfection in his work,
Right.
and would literally take shit out, add shit in almost every time there was a re-release.
There were 3 versions of Episode 2 in theaters simultaneously.
And now we have Disney, who just dumps Star Wars content out like it's no tomorrow. And
Disney is like the Chat GPT. It just takes a bunch of garbage and forms it into something.
yeah,
It reminds you of something you liked, but it's weird.
But it's really funny because Disney doesn't always have that full iron grip over what you're releasing. So it's really the people they fund it to, and that's the big thing. And that brings me back to Jason's comment. Not all divisions or studios at Disney are bad, because like it's the people. Like I said, Ian McGregor pretty much it was him and somebody else who had control of Kenobi.
Yikes.
It was just the budget they were given and stuff. They chose to work with what they had.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, Solo, it was 80% done, and Kathleen Kennedy stepped in and was like, nope.
Yeah, but that was Kathleen Kennedy though.
Yeah.
That was her.
But I mean, she gave carte blanche to Rian Johnson after J.J. Abrams, so it's just like, whoosh. So sometimes.
Hey, I still defend him sometimes because, like I said, I liked his other stuff. Looper was great. I liked Looper.
I saw Looper. That was all right. I never saw Knives Out. Did you like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you see Knives Out too?
No.
Oh.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I liked some.
When I was a kid, I thought Disney was the greatest thing. Now I don't. If I see that logo, I'm automatically suspicious. That's just how I am now.
But yeah, like going back to that time, like literally the worst thing you had to worry about was if you could find the standard edition of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like the VHS, the VHS tapes.
Or laser
like
discs.
so, I was literally just watching an RLM video that had he had the trilogy,
Movie,
and it was like talking about how it was like the last, like he was technically him saying it was like the last. No, it was just the last release, in normal format or something like that.
Yeah,
it was kind of like Lucas kind of hinting about
Lucas said this is the last chance to own Star Wars in their original version.
In the original version, yeah.
He lied, thankfully, because in 2006 we got it on DVD.
And then he re-released it in the theater with all that extra crap, and Alexander Philippe was talking about how it wouldn't have been such a problem if it wouldn't have been so hard to get a hold of the standard edition again, if that's what you wanted to do. And back then it was kind of hard. Unless you owned all the older tapes.
In 2006, they did sell the theatrical versions of Star Wars. They were not restored. They were just a bare bones release. And by buying them, you had to buy another copy of the 2004 version, which had the weird colors and the garbage mats and all that weird stuff that Lori Digital did.
But they also changed. He also changed the format. He also changed the title. The title covers all the time. There was wacky changes.
Yeah, all the time fans would print out new covers that looked like the old movie posters. Fan edits came out where they cleaned it up more and made it look like people have recreated the theatrical versions using the high definition stuff. So it's like
I said, do you remember the original VHS or Laserdisc covers to A New Hope, Empire, and Jedi?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you know what those look like, they can tell you exactly what they are, and you'll know exactly what movie you're buying based on what those covers are.
Yeah.
And slowly over time, throughout the last 10 years since those covers were released, they changed dramatically, and a lot more confusing shit was placed on the covers. and then it slowly became like the same fucking cover for
Yeah,
every cover. Like,
designed by
it
Clark.
would have like
Griswold.
Luke on the top with like a whole bunch of other fucking like heroes, and like it would just be like,
Well, because they were trying to imitate the newer
yeah. So like they were just
posters.
doing it, and then they changed it again. And then when I got the complete saga, that it was just a whole bunch of fucking weird shit. So like,
Yeah. The Blu-ray that I have has Jake Lloyd with his back to the camera,
yeah,
and his shadow
that's
is
what
Darth
I have.
Vader.
The
Yeah.
complete saga. Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
it's over back there.
I bought that only for the bonus discs that had the deleted scenes.
I didn't
never
mind
been
that.
released before.
The complete saga. Like I bought that right before the sequel trilogy came out.
Yeah, I think
So-
episode 2 and episode 3 in it look amazing, but well, actually, episode 2 has some weird scenes. But I mean, episode 1 is kind of weird, and then
Or like the Luke scream in Empire that was taken out.
yeah.
Like,
Well, Return of the Jedi is still my favorite, and Vader going no, like when he's throwing the Emperor, it's like, why'd you have to do that? Just leave the memories alone.
yeah, it's just shit that like makes you think twice. Like, what the
Like
fuck
every
was
other
that?
year,
Was that
Lucas,
in there? Like,
Lucas would be like, I don't think I
'Cause-
like this. I think I'm gonna tweak it a little. And it's like, well, good for him, but I just want to watch the movie that I
well,
remember.
it's
Is that
because
so
like
wrong?
I keep wanting to rewatch those movies, and every time I rewatch those movies, there's something fucking weird in there, and I'm like, wait, was that in there before?
It
Like,
distracts you, messes with your
yeah,
memory.
like it screws with you, and like
It's
I'm like,
the
can I-
Mandela effect, you know.
now I have to hear McClunky every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So I'm,
Get yourself a fan edit. Don't ask where you got it from.
but now you can
that-
watch the standard editions and be fine with it.
But not on Disney Plus.
No,
Not from a Jedi.
I thought didn't they release those?
If they did, that would have been great, but I don't think they ever did.
Because wasn't it like called something different? I can't remember.
In 2006, so still
No.
under Lucas's
When
tenure.
Disney bought Star Wars, when they were doing the sequels and stuff, they released.
A
Pretty
new-
sure they released the standard versions of Star Wars,
If they did, I never heard about
and they
it.
called it
Somebody-
something else. I can't
Somebody in
remember
the
what they
chat
called
tell
it.
us, has Disney ever released the
Yeah, hold
theatrical 1980s versions of Star Wars, the original trilogy, on any format ever? Have they done it? Because Lucas did it in 2006 and 2008 on DVD, and that was the only time since the days of Laserdisc and VHS.
I can't remember what it's called. What they called it?
If they did, I would have bought it. Used, but I would have bought it.
No, you couldn't buy it like a physical. I think they were.
Oh, like streaming?
Yeah.
Well, then somebody would have captured it.
They called them though.
See, I thought it was all some type of special edition. There were fan edits. People made fan versions of them. The non-special, but that's like, yeah, the number one.
Despecialized. They released them and called them the despecialized editions.
But those are, I'm pretty sure those are fan made. That those are not. Those are bootlegs. Am I crazy here? Like when Nelson Mandela died in the 80s.
I don't know. I could be wrong though. Could be wrong.
Yeah, despecialized editions. These are fan edits.
Oh, they are.
I wish they were official.
So yeah, they were released, but they weren't by Disney. Okay,
Yeah.
That's my bad.
Because Lucas didn't release them on Blu-ray or HD DVD. They were just regular DVD, standard definition.
But they utilized the 2011 Blu-ray 35mm scans.
Yeah. So people use different materials. A lot of work went into that. It's like frame by frame. So you can get like a fan created version. It's like you're leaving money on the table, Lucasfilm, but all because they want to mold it into their own
See,
thing.
I didn't mind the special effects in certain parts, but then again, I was a kid, right? So it, like blended with like the prequels. It was, to me, it was the weird fucking sound effects, the changing of the Han and Greedo scene, like the weird like cuts and shit that they added.
Yeah.
Like that's what freaked me out.
I liked the CGI creatures, but I guess when I was watching the special editions on screen, I wasn't thinking this is going to be the way Star Wars is from now on. It was like, well, this is just a one-off like experiment, you know. And if I buy this on home media, I'm going to have both versions. So one is kind of like watching Night of the Living Dead colorized. It's like, oh, it's kind of a novelty, but you go back to the original after you know, the novelty is cleared.
Right on.
As opposed to, no, this is the official version, and then the other one doesn't exist, and I don't want you to have it ever.
But yeah, so like
I mean, I still don't blame people for being mad about that. But I feel like Lucas, like, okay, he gave in and said, okay, fine.
And
You can have the original version.
I think technically I'm
though my version's better.
I think technically I'm probably always going to run into the situation. I'll probably end up remembering this later, like when the podcast is over, and I'm like, oh crap, I should have brought this up. But because like I thought about this all last week, prepping for the podcast, like the stuff that was relative to what we're facing now in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've always kind of had certain issues with Star Wars pre-Disney, and to me it was like you could always go to the video games, you could always go to the books, and this was to me, you could always like go to the expanded universe, right? You could always watch the movies and do stuff like that. Like dealing with George Lucas to me wasn't a big thing. It was to certain people, right? When the movies were their thing, that was their thing. Or the comics might have been their thing. Something that might have messed with that. Like there were some people really calling him out, like, quit raping our childhood.
I remember that, yeah.
Like, and that to me,
that was the special edition, and then you can't have the original thing.
And that to me was
hyperbolic, but I mean,
it wasn't as bad. So we've always had our issues with Star Wars games. Like even though we had our fair share of games, there was always an issue with certain games being released or them coming out and having problems.
My favorite game of all time, Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, it was delayed for an entire year.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time it came out, people were like, oh man, the graphics are so dated. But man, I loved that game. Still do. It's still fun to play. You can still play it. It takes some tweaking. But yeah.
Yeah, it was
Lucas. I think the mythology of Lucas himself grew with the success of Star Wars. It was like, here's this guy, he is this great visionary, this auteur filmmaker. You know, what wonderful things is he going to bless us with next? And then it was like he would, make a decision, and people were like, what? What are you doing? So we had this conversation, but I mean, he wasn't calling people man babies and accusing them of, being, stormtroopers or whatever.
It was just funny. If you ever
compared to the squabbles we had back then, the stuff now is just so.
If you ever do get a chance,
far removed.
There is a playlist on YouTube, or go to the Red Letter Media site and watch their first. It's like their episodes a half in the bag from 2011. There is an episode with Alexander Philippe, and I guess that's one of the last things that hit me that will kind of tell you how or just look up the people versus George Lucas. That was one of those big things. Because like I said, once Disney bought Star Wars, there was a small period of silence. But I remember some of the first things that kind of hit that were the biggest downfall. There was a mod for Jedi Academy. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but it was called Knights of the Force. And there was a guy who was working on it for 12 years.
Is the stream choppy?
Shouldn't be. Let me check. Again.
Thanks, William. Yes.
No, it's not on our end. Try to restart.
Yeah.
Because we're getting good.
Sorry.
Yeah, good bit rate.
Yeah, Jacer says the 06 box set bonus content is your only hope. Well, for an official release, yeah.
But yeah, so he worked on it for 12 years, and
Knights of the Force mod.
And after 2012, I think it was the source code for Jedi Academy became available, briefly, and he just pretty much gave up. He didn't give it to anybody else. Didn't do anything. His excuse was that it was destroying his life, destroying his marriage, and he just decided to trash it, just get rid of it. So the only thing that was available for download was that version, and I had it saved because I think the site is no longer available.
Yeah.
And so the only way you can find it is by downloading it now on the archive, or
that's sad.
By having a version, preloaded.
So a passion project becomes a nightmare, and you just give up on it.
Because of that, I think it's because of I think that's kind of what kind of was the turning point. And we were waiting for he had Knights of Force 3.0 ready to go. Like you had a date for it and everything. After pushing it back, you had like like you had like videos and stuff ready and all that stuff. So
and that's a mod that I didn't even know about until you told me about.
It was great. Yeah, and like I said, there were people who didn't like it because it did utilize some other people's assets, and like
They didn't get proper credit.
They did, I think, but it was just one of those things where,
or they were saying it was derivative because of that.
Yeah, but
I mean, I always thought
you could play through the whole like fucking saga, and like that was what 3.0 was supposed to be.
One thing I want to say about that, real quick, is to me the whole point of making those assets is so that they can be used in mods. Like, why do you make a Stormtrooper skin? Well, just so you can just use a Stormtrooper in the regular game. Yes, but you've got someone who makes a Stormtrooper, someone who makes a droid, someone who makes a Wookiee. So you bring them all together so that you can make your Knights of the Force or whatever it is. Like, as long as you credit the people, what's wrong with that? So I don't have a problem with that.
Another big one was
Because either somebody's doing it for me or I'm doing it. I'm downloading all those skins, putting them all in a map, to try to recreate Jabba's palace or whatever it is.
I think I have the video around here somewhere.
It says 2026 20th edition Reeboks from the vault. Maybe that can be the win she needs. Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, if you want to know how to win, here's what you do. You bring the original trilogy, the actual theatrical versions from the 80s, back to theaters in good quality, and then you release those on home media. Not for a limited time, but just as a release. I mean, the 2006 DVDs were fine. They were absolutely fine. Like, if this were any other movie. But because they're the Star Wars trilogy, we expected more, and that's why people were disappointed with them. They called it the George Lucas original trilogy, the GOUT, unaltered original trilogy. So, yeah, but people made fan edits of those too, which were like improved. And
so kind of referencing the things that like when Disney bought out things that they canceled or things that got canceled right before.
This looks like Republic Commando.
Imperial Commando. Imperial Commando was supposed to be released shortly.
I liked Republic Commando. You could say it was derivative of Halo, but it was a great game. I loved it.
This is reference to a channel like gvmers.com, but this was an article that I watched, or not an article, but a video that I watched not too long ago, which was showcasing this game was not out of even the first stages. So I think they had concept art for it, and then it was shelved.
This still looks like
So, but it was supposed to take place during like Order 66, and it's supposed to kind of explain what happened to Sev and stuff like after the end of Republic Commando. So if you played that, then you kind of knew. But this was the concept art for that. Then you had Star Wars
Squadron.
Yep, Dark Squadron, which was supposed to take place. I think this was Rogue Squadron 3, and it was supposed to be for the Wii, I think, when they released it. Some of this stuff isn't. This is like
Rogue Squadron
gameplay.
4.
Yeah,
because they had 3 already.
But so they were like, this is just showcasing gameplay right now for other things. But like, these two games were like not even in the. They were in the the concept stage, but that's about it.
Some of these I did not know about. I knew about the Republic Commando sequel. I knew about 1313 and Battlefront 3. But some of these others I'd never heard of.
Like I think Rogue Squadron got two, or the next Rogue Squadron game got 2 ideas. It was Dark Squadron, and there was like Rogue Squadron 4. I think that was supposed to be for the Wii
Peter Mayhew
or something. But that's exactly what. Like they canceled both. So Rogue Leaders was the one for the Wii, and that one I think got further before they just fucking canceled it. And I think it was either due to the LucasArts sellout or just the fact they didn't have enough funding. I think who was the
Factor 5?
Yeah, I think Factor 5 ran out of money. I think they were bankrupt.
There was a Rogue Squadron. There was Rogue Leader.
But that's what it looked like.
And there's Rebel Strike.
I remember. You had like certain like things you could do other than just fight in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, what was the slice that they had of Battlefront 3? Was it Battlefront 3 where you could like take off and you could go into space and you would see like the
that was Free Radical, yep.
Yeah. That was really cool. It's too bad that game didn't get officially released.
That's Time Splitters. Yeah, we're kind of missing out on some of the concept of this about the sound. But yeah, Battlefront 3 was supposed to be released. There was something called Battle for the Sith Lords.
So this
the
is
Sith Lords.
gvmers.com, History of
Yeah.
Canceled Games. Check it out on YouTube.
I think this was the Darth Maul game that they were talking about.
Oh, I kind of remember that. People talking about Darth
Yeah,
Maul.
Battle of the Sith Lords, I think is what it's called. But
That
they're
dismemberment.
yeah, this actually has gameplay in it.
This makes me think of both Jedi Academy and Force Unleashed 2.
Yeah, but some of these actually had really good concepts, and like
I
you
mean,
don't
each
get to see
game
too
kind of
much
like
game.
built on the other. They learned, you know, what worked and like made it into the next game.
But yeah, so like we had some really good games. Attack Squadrons, First Assault, 1313 was a big one, and
Yeah, in 1313, what were you playing as? Do you remember?
but you're Boba Fett.
Oh, okay.
You were a young Boba Fett.
Ah,
That was supposed to be his like
Yeah.
story.
see,
For
George Lucas did not have a perfect record, but yeah, he was a legend compared to what we have now. And who knows, maybe in 30 years, if Star Wars is still around, we'll look back fondly on the Kathleen Kennedy years. Because it'll be so horrible. Because you think at a certain point they just cut their losses and say, you know what? We're just lighting money on fire. Is this a tax dodge now? Like, what is this?
and like speaking of other old Star Wars concepts before we close, I recently heard like because we're talking about like the the Phantom Menace stuff like that. I was bringing this up to you before the podcast. Stuff with like Jake Lloyd and stuff like that. We always talk about like the stuff that happened with like Jake Lloyd and
I've never had a
Best.
problem with him in the story.
Well, I always thought like he went nuts. Like, he just went crazy.
Yeah, he had
and,
a psychotic break.
like hated Star Wars, and I guess he really was mentally ill.
Yeah.
Like
So there was some
a lot of
misunderstanding about what it was.
with both of them. Yeah,
People claimed that he was a normal kid. He got bullied by people who didn't like Star Wars or didn't like the Phantom Menace, and so then he lost his mind because of that. But that's not true.
well, he took a lot of stress from bullying, and then he just hated Star Wars after that, and like
He's also
hated
a
the
child star.
conventions
I mean,
and
he
stuff like
didn't
that. But
start with Star Wars.
no, I guess he had a case of like schizophrenia. That was very hard to handle for his family and himself.
Yeah.
So, I guess he did have. I guess the cases were true. Like he did end up taking a car out on the freeway and stuff like that. But like, he wasn't just like somebody who just snapped.
So there was some mental illness in his history.
Yeah, he was just very mentally unwell, and it got worse as it went along. But
Sad.
the big thing is, I guess his mom updated with this article, and you can kind of just look it up on Google, saying that like she kind of caught up with people, saying that like there's a lot of rumors going around about his life that aren't true. He's doing a lot better. I think he's still getting care. So, and that's kind of one of those things where he enjoyed being in the movie, he enjoyed being part of it all, which. The reason I even brought that up was there was I don't think he was originally supposed to be the first choice.
You can on the DVD they have the auditions for the other kids, and they were saying like, oh, this other kid did better.
Yeah, and there was another kid that actually wrote a book, or he's in a book called like How I Almost Was in Star Wars or something like that. Mm-hmm. But he actually his audition was actually very convincing.
Yeah, he was a better actor.
That he just wasn't picked, I don't think, because he was like older.
Yeah.
He was just a little older. They wanted somebody younger for the part.
Yeah. I disagreed with the idea of portraying Darth Vader as a young, happy-go-lucky kid, but I don't blame that on Jake Lloyd.
But you agreed with the yippee.
Yippee!
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. He did fine for what that role was, but I'm just saying I would have written the story differently. I had the impression that he was already an adult when Obi-Wan met him, and that's how their relationship began. It wasn't as he was a slave racing pods.
I don't know.
George
man.
Lucas wanted to tell that story, so that's how he did it.
I didn't mind it. Kind of for what it is. Just like how Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon built their relationship from the ground
Yeah.
up.
Now that story's been told, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you just write your own fan fiction of what you thought it should be. But I feel like Lucas himself set expectations with his interviews. I mean, he has enough money; he can change his mind anytime he wants to, right?
I mean,
His story.
Well, I think he's old, a little
My
too old to
story.
be doing stuff like that anymore.
Yeah,
He barely remembers.
anymore.
So
Yeah, but I mean, he gave an interview once recently where he was just defending, like, from people that were trying to say that like Star Wars was outdated and it needed to be like fixed for the modern era. And it's like he's just like, what the hell are you talking? I mean, you can say, oh, he's a grumpy old man, but it's like,
which
it's
is
talking a lot of sense.
really funny because I think he's the one who right before Star Wars got sold, he's the one who made and released the movie Red Tails.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, how he sold it, because it wasn't getting very well received, is how he sold it was an all-black cast.
There were two white
Talking
actors,
about
but yeah, the main characters.
like the main characters, but it was describing there's a fire squadron in like World War II or something
yeah,
like
the
that.
Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first movie about them, but I mean, it had been a long time.
Like,
and it was like told like a swashbuckling action story. It was a feel good, over the top. It wasn't super historically accurate, but
I just like how all these people were like telling him that he wasn't very like up to date. They don't have, and a lot of people have no remembrance of that movie whatsoever.
Yeah.
But he was the one who portrayed the movie like that. Like, he was the one who was trying to sell it like that. Like, that it wouldn't be well received because of that. Like, was on Oprah talking about it like that. Like, So, like, a whole bunch of diverse people showed up to theaters to support the movie and stuff like that.
So he tried to play that game.
He did play that card.
Yeah. Did it
like,
work?
Whether or not it was actually about that was, it's up to, like, it's up in the air because I don't know.
I watched it.
But, I mean, it seemed like an interesting movie.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
The first movie about the Tuskegee Airmen, I think, had Lawrence Fishburne in it. I never saw that one. But it kind of made me want to watch that one. See.
And from what I noticed, it sold well. So.
Sure. Marketing, man. Marketing.
When Oprah markets your movie. Yeah.
That Oprah money.
So.
Look under your chair. There's some money. You get money. And you get money. Well, Lucas is definitely a guy that he wants people to approve of his work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every artist at a certain point. Well, some artists want to tweak the nose of their audience, but a lot of the natural thing is like they want their work to be appreciated and liked, And so sometimes they try to go for the easy win, like this will make me look good. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah. But I think it feels petty when, okay, you're an artist, you create some art and people are like, it stinks, it sucks. It's like, no, you stink, you suck. It's like, well, you saying that didn't make your art any better. All you did was just attack the critic, And if it were me, I would just say, okay, you didn't like it, but guess what? All these other people liked it, and I'm rich because of it. So I'll just take that and go. Or maybe if they made a valid criticism, it's like, okay, well, I'll make a little tweak there. I'm not going to change my whole vision because you said so, but I can improve it a little bit. And I think Lucas did listen to some criticism. People didn't like Jar Jar, right? So he shrunk the character down for the next movie. People wanted more of the old story that he talked about in all those interviews, so he focused more of that in episode 3. So there were little things like that. I mean, it's too late. It'd gone too far here or there.
In some places.
Yeah. But it's like, part of me wants George Lucas or whoever to just make the art you want to make. Don't listen to anybody. Just make it for you. Okay? And if people don't like it, also the free market does its thing. people think it sucks, they won't buy it. You lose money. But when I'm looking at something like HeroQuest, it's a different story because you've taken it and you've sold it to somebody else, or you've passed it along to a new team.
Packaged it.
Now you have a responsibility. So like what Avalon Hill is doing with HeroQuest is they have a responsibility now to the product, to the lore, to the fans. It's not just theirs to do whatever they want with it. With Star Wars, Lucas sells it to Disney. So now I feel like even though Disney has the legal right to do whatever they want with it, they have a moral obligation to honor that. And they have not always honored it. Now, did Lucas himself, always honor his own property? Not always, but it's a little tougher there because you could say, well, it wasn't just Lucas. It was also the editors and the writers and, all the artists that created this stuff. I mean, he selected some of those people, yes, but other people he had to compromise with. So the prequels were much more his thing. So rightly or wrongly, rightly, I think you can put the blame on him or the thanks for, the success or failures because he had so much more control. And with Disney Star Wars, I mean, we've seen that Kathleen Kennedy pulls a lot of strings. So a lot of the blame can be put on her. But yes, indirectly, you can say it was still Lucas's fault because he put her in charge. He sold it to Disney. He regrets it now. And you go on and on. So there's plenty of blame to pass around, but there's definitely certain people that, yeah. And like you said, just because you remove the leader doesn't mean that the next person is going to be any better.
Indeed.
If the structure of the company still thinks that's the right way to go, they're going to keep going in that direction, no matter who's in charge. Because I'm in charge. I'm in charge, Phasma. I'm in charge. Simmer down. Refresh. Good idea.
All right. Well, do we have any other final topics before we close?
Jacer says make a HeroQuest movie.
Okay.
Hey, if the Japanese make it, I'll watch it.
But only if the Japanese make it.
Only. Yeah.
HeroQuest.
Yeah, there's some wild commercials out there that if you hired those guys who directed those commercials to make a HeroQuest movie, a live action movie, heck yeah, I would be on board 100%.
All right then.
With that,
with that, I think we're gonna call it.
Hey, we're up to 40 followers. Thanks, guys.
Hey. All right. Well, for everybody watching here,
To play us out.
this has been the RantCast Podcast. If you've been listening to the VOD instead of watching the VOD, make sure you tune in for those times that we're kind of pointing stuff out on the screen. But
remember, we're on Tuesdays now, not Thursday.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Be here every Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, I think, is the official release of Outlaws.
Star Wars Outlaws.
So we'll keep you guys, we'll keep you guys updated on what's going on then.
Because you've got that VIP thing, right?
Yeah, I do. So it kind of depends on what I'm doing. Might be doing an all-day stream.
So we might take a break from the RantCast next week.
I don't know. You can. Oh, you want to join me for it?
Oh, like that'll just be the RantCast of us playing Outlaws. Do I get to play too, or I just watch you?
Yeah, you can play if you want, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see.
Oh, it's a single player game. What am I saying?
But
oh, like I'd come over and press buttons on the controller.
yeah.
Space Marines 2.
But yeah, we should be available next Tuesday. If
Okay, I'll watch the space then.
yeah, we'll keep you guys updated on Discord.
Discord, yeah.
So if you're not part of that, make sure you're part of that.
Yeah, so we got the bus of Discord, and I'll try to pass along that news to the HeroQuest fans Discord. You do you post updates on your YouTube?
On mine, yeah, I just haven't. In a little
My
while.
community page, I try to post stuff in between videos to like update people. I don't always get to it, but I try.
I'll probably be updating my YouTube after I do like Star Wars Outlaws, but I should probably just put some of my older videos from Twitch back on there. It's been a hassle since I had to redo my YouTube and stuff. So.
Oh yeah.
But I did put
Disney,
some stuff up there.
stay far away from my HeroQuest. I know Disney stuff gets licensed by Hasbro, but just stay away.
But yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in, listening, watching, being a part of the discussion.
Yeah.
Once
thanks.
again, if you want to join us in the discussion, you can join us on our Discord.
Yeah, you
Send us
can
a
call
DM.
into the RantCast. Like an AM radio station.
Indeed. I am Josh, also known as The Strange Bus. You can find me at twitch.tv/The Strange Bus. That is twitch.tv/The Strange Bus. My other host here, Kurgan. You can find him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest fans. That is twitch.tv/HeroQuest